everybody. How we doing? Hope we're keeping okay. Let me see. Oh, I'm listening to myself. That's what's happening. How are we all doing? We all doing okay? Sorry about starting a bit late. Had some technical difficulties, but I have arrived finally at last. I see T-Dreads in the chat, Dual Process Theories in the chat, Pika Pete's in the chat, Peanut Butter Sandwiches in the chat, Faye, Matthias Schroeder, Mob, Duno, Rocco Smiles, Raccoon Smiles, Abby Luan, Coco Raptor, Contrafernius, Tyson Tester, Bob the Nokia, Jack Bit, Skim, Laney the Witch, Harrison James, Newt the Gamer, Mod Man, Lee Bondoop. I said that right the first time. Ellison TP. Oh my god. Okay, I've run out of names. I can't keep up. How are we all doing, everybody? So today, I wanted to discuss a theory which is controversial, I suppose, in the current streaming or just YouTube landscape in general, or even just FNAF theorizing in general. Let me see if I can get this working. Give me 2 seconds. I just have to add an image source. Apologies. This is the technical difficulties I was talking about. But let's see your podcast. There we go. Loop. Let's see how this works. There she is. We all still hear me all right? Cassidy, canon, or fanon. So I'm thinking this might be like a new little series I'll try and do. I think we could have some fun with it, where I go through certain theories where we've got like a lot of opinions on them, and a lot of strong opinions at that, but nothing that is necessarily that textually backed. Like, even for example, this image that I'm using, I've got this like Cassidy model, and even in my reboot I designed Cassidy to look like this, and essentially this look comes from nowhere. Or, I mean, it comes from fan, but there's nothing like in the games to indicate that this would be what Cassidy looks like. I guess the only thing I could think of is the FNAF 4 girl with pigtails is the closest thing, but she looks more like baby than this. And, you know, like, I love this design personally. I know a lot of people, you know, have differing opinions on it, but this is from nothing. The fact that Cassidy's a girl, and people will try and kill me for this, but that's also from nothing. There's no evidence that Cassidy is necessarily female in the series. It could be a boy's name. I know a lot of people don't like that because they assume it's a girl, but we don't know that for sure. In fact, there's probably more Cassidy evidence than Cassidy. But yeah, so I'm seeing already in the chat, and this was something I'd seen in the lead up when I was checking in. Oh, the logbook picture with the puppet. You're right. The logbook picture and the puppet is the inspiration. But again, we don't know that that's Cassidy. That could just be a drawing. There's no indication that that's necessarily the Golden Freddy kid, or that that's who the book is talking about. You know, could be a lot of things. People assume because it's a girl getting cake, and that's kind of like Happiest Day, that's what's going on. But again, that's a theory. That's not evidence. That's not like Susie's design, which is 100% canon. Yeah, the novels, there's the Cassidy girl, but again, she doesn't look like this. She has black hair in that, I think, or dark hair. But then the graphic novel is different. So there's a lot going on with Cassidy. So yeah, a poll. That's a good idea, Peanut Butter Sandwich. I will make a poll. Let me see. How do I do that in here? I have to add, start a poll. So basically what we're going to be talking about today is all the evidence for Cassidy existing or not existing. And when I say Cassidy, I mean kind of the version you see on screen, like this girl who is most likely the vengeful spirit. Oh, Goddess Nerd, thank you very much. The alert box is underneath the media. So let me put that back up there. But yeah, so Cassidy in this form, even, you know, Cassidy version I can go for, but this version, which is the 5th MCI victim, killed by William, most likely through spring locking, is vengeful, and is kind of this quite important character. Let me see. Do you believe in classic Cassidy? Yes or no? Let's see what the reaction is here initially. T threads, bruh. If she don't get an alligator mask, I don't give a fuck. Crashmaster, 100% Cassidy is canon, not fanon. The Fourth Closet Ultimate Guide with the Survival Logbook and Scott's older Reddit posts on the movie scripts confirm Cassidy is a character who is a girl with black hair. Interesting. Thank you, Crashmaster, first of all. That's an insanely generous super chat. I just noticed the amount. Thank you so much. I will look into all of this that you're talking about, and how some of it can be good evidence, some of it can be cancelled. I'm not even saying like, oh, you're all wrong, Cassidy's not real. I just genuinely have been struggling with this myself recently, so I wanted to kind of talk about it on live. But thank you very much. With it circle, member for 1 month. Thank you very much. Are you aware of the Shadow Edwin? I saw it in the there's a group chat that we have, a few of the FNAF theorists and I think it was I don't know if it was with a circle or Hyperdroid or somebody noticed earlier today that there's been like a shadowy figure seen in like Secret of the Mimic. Apparently got like an update, and you can see it in the window of the warehouse where the Digityper is from the office, and it seems to be like a GIF that's like moving around. People were looking at it. It's a bit up in the air now. If you hear anything about that, you can look into it yourself. But yeah, it's an interesting little detail for Steel to add if it wasn't intentionally, or if it wasn't there in the first place. But yeah, the Shadow Edwin is in Secret of the Mimic. It's popping off on Twitter right now, apparently. So let me see the chat. Okay, so yes, we've got a yes for 72%. I'm gonna lock it in there. So yeah, 170 votes. Wait a minute, 170 votes and only 107 likes, guys. Come on, I refreshed. I thought it was much lower than that. But come on, if you're voting in the poll, you gotta like the video. You gotta push it up there. We got 300 people watching right now. That's not even half the amount of people watching of like the stream. Push it up there so more people can get in here and we can talk about it. But yeah, so we've got a 72% for yes in classic Cassidy belief. I was expecting a number similar to that. In fact, it's actually lower than I was expecting. But I know that the discussion around the whole thing has been shifting quite a bit recently. So let's go into some of those things that Crash brought up, because they are basically like the biggest points of evidence which we have. So let me see. I can switch from this and I can go to, let me see. Oh, I had this all set up and then it all broke. No. So let me see. Green screen, full screen. Background solo. Where did this go? Huh, okay. Weird. Add. Window capture. Then the truth. There we go. That should be all good. Okay, great. Now, let me just shrink this down real quick. Sorry about these technical issues, guys. I had these all sorted out and then everything broke. We love it. So let's talk about some of those things that Crash brought up there. So, let me see. I'll get my other window up so I can actually look at the chat. So a couple of things. The Fourth Closet Ultimate Guide with the Survival Logbook and Scott's older Reddit post on the movie script confirm Cassidy as a character who is a girl with black hair. Let me go to that Scott's movie post. Scott Cawthon movie scripts. So scrapped screenplays. Let me see. Is there a link? Oh no, I don't have any ad blocker on this. Everything's gonna go crazy. So let's see here. Reddit. Let's get this up. Okay. So in this Reddit post, Scott basically talked about how there were many approaches to the film that were attempted, and some of them are not so great, which didn't get made, obviously. These are all the pitches that didn't get picked by the last one. So all of these are just like potential spec scripts or even just ideas that were thrown around. You know, we've got like Plushies Take Manhattan, which, yeah, I can't imagine that was 100% real at any point, like a full script. But yeah, this also just seems kind of like a jokey one, but it could be real. I wouldn't put it past anybody to write something like that. So the Cassidy screenplay, this is what Scott says about the Cassidy screenplay, which I believe this was pretty soon after that whole thing. Oh, Levon Dupe, thank you very much for your super chat. I have to get this thing out of the way. Alert box, I'll move that down. Apologies about that, I'll read it out loud. Don't forget, the entire Cassidy kazoo debacle alone proves that Cassidy is real in the games. Believe in the kazoo. So yeah, that's another one I wanted to bring up. So yes, thank you very much, Levon Dupe, for your super chat. So the Cassidy screenplay. Basic setup. Diving deep, this screenplay packed in a lot of lore following the story of Cassidy. Scott does not say anything about who that is, other than we know that Cassidy, the name, is of a character who is important to the story. Now, here are the problems listed with this screenplay. Spanning multiple time periods, following multiple characters, and featuring lore from multiple games. This was pretty saturated to a fault. May have been satisfying to the most hardcore fans, but it would have left the majority of people confused and lost. Hey wait, maybe this was the most accurate screenplay. And then he calls it ultimately it was more of a visual encyclopedia than a movie. This just wasn't satisfying even to me. Out. Oh wait, I think I get to use... Do I get to use my thing? Did I do it properly earlier? Yes, I did. Okay, everybody, I'm doing a water check. I need to drink some water. Give me 2 seconds. Good water. Oh, sorry. I amused myself. So, anyway. Let me see. Fast water. Sorry, just all the chat reactions are going out. So with this Cassidy screenplay, the water is laced with fast goo. It's crazy. Lazy Panda. Cassidy is David. Everyone is David. God David. We'll get into God David, or God Victim and stuff like that later on, but I agree, everyone is David. That is the true meaning of God David. So this Cassidy screenplay, something that people have always said about this screenplay, or at least when I've ever heard it discussed. Oh, Mason Law, thank you very much. I just realized that Greg's friend with the maps at the end of Ruin could probably be F10N4 instead of Vanessa. I personally think it might be Edwin. That's just my thought. F10N4 could be true. I don't know how they'd be with her unless she got into a mimic body, which could be very true at that time, by that stage. But I think it's personally going to be Edwin, that he survived. So people have said about this that it's a perfect fit for Cassidy because she's like so, important to the whole story. But something about the setup of this, and this is purely a suggestion, and it's not me even stating a theory I believe in, but a character like Cassidy, thank you the Dark Devil for £20, thank you very much. Cassidy is canon. As for who she is, like the movie, she's apathetic, which hides how extreme she is. She helps Cece but then torments William. Also, why does Cassidy designs use a yellow shirt instead of Logbook's cyan one? That's a good question. Yeah, I mean, that's a lot of, again, it's a lot of speculation. This is the kind of thing I want to talk about, is like, these are the readings we have of these characters. And yet, even for like a character like Susie, who has quite a bit established about her in multiple sets of lore, just by the fact she's in one minigame, and she's referenced a few times in the different books. Even we don't really know what Susie, the character, was like. I guess maybe the Fazbear Fright story would be more indicative of that. But like Jeremy, we don't really know anything about Jeremy. We don't know what he looks like. We don't know what he sounds like. We don't know how he thought, if he was a good kid or a bad kid. We know nothing. All of the MCI are pretty much faceless, except for Susie. And some people would argue Cassidy, but it's not the most like solid of connections. But thank you very much for your donation. And that very well could be true. And again, this is all just me trying to spark up conversation. But what I was going to say is a character like the Bite Victim might be a bit more fitting for this description of the screenplay. right? If the story is of the bite victim and he is one of, if not the earliest death in the timeline, then it could carry over to the Aftons, it could carry over to Mike. It was like an accurate screenplay apparently to the story. If it was accurate and it was about Cassidy, I really don't know what the story would have been of the fifth MCI kid. Like, what's her story also being accurate? You know, like, this sounds like like he says, a visual encyclopedia. So it was like he took the lore in his head and he made it into a movie, and yet somehow it follows the story of one of the 5 faceless kids. You know, this is just, again, something that I wanted to point out. So T-Dress, thank you very much. I don't allow important lore names on random merchandise. Myth busted, and Andrew Line is canon. So this is along with the Cassidy Kazoo comment from earlier. I think that there is a character who is important, who is named Cassidy. And again, this is coming from the point of view who somebody who is currently wrestling with the character of Cassidy, and who they may be. And obviously there is a character named Cassidy. Scott doesn't accidentally make up the name Cassidy in a book with a bunch of hints to it, and then write this name down here, and then put it in the book after the one he made, after the game and the logbook, without that character existing. It's not coincidence that we found the name Cassidy in the logbook and that he brings up Cassidy here. It's like there is a character called Cassidy, but do we know who that character is for sure? Because we've assigned it to being the 5th MCI victim, because of the logbook, for good reasons, but we'll talk about those. But we also have other characters that this name could potentially fit. So this Cassidy Kazoo thing is another interesting one. I want to bring this up. Cassidy Kazoo Scott. Now, let me see here. Is this the one where he replies? Let me see. No. Let me see. Okay, here we go. Okay, raise your hands if you think I'd let Cloak reveal lore using a kazoo. Never mind, don't answer that. It sounds just dumb enough to work. But seriously, I can't tell you how many designs I've rejected because companies randomly throw around names from the lore. Pretty confident that I rejected this as well, or I guess there is a chance it just slipped through the cracks. Either way, get it while you can, because I'm pulling it. So this is another mention of this kazoo, right? Which was made by a company called Cloak, I think. And it just basically is gold, and it's called the Cassidy Kazoo Gold. That's basically it. And Scott pulled it because the implication, obviously, of course, is that Cassidy is Golden Freddy. It's pretty. I actually thought it was something more than this. It's literally just a kazoo that has the word FNAF on it. It also happens to be called Cassidy Kazoo. So, it seems to me that this doesn't confirm anything. This is as much confirmation as actually it's much less confirmation than the Cassidy Princess file in Security Breach, because all he's doing is saying, I'm not going to tell you what the answer is. He's just saying, I won't give you the answer by giving you a kazoo. So, like, him pulling this does not mean that Cassidy is definitely Golden Freddy. It just means that whoever Cassidy is, he's not going to tell you because of a kazoo. This, honestly, I think is, like, one of the hugest elements. One of the most massive parts of the whole Cassidy thing, unironically. I think this informed people's thought process on this a lot. It's the same like when Scott said 90% or most of Matt Pat's FNAF 2 video was true, and then people were like, okay, it's 100% true when he said most of, or he got it mostly right or something he said. And it's like, we know it's then over 50%, or is it just him being like, yeah, he pretty much got it. You know, we can't take anything then and say, well, Scott said we mostly got it right, because that whatever you're talking about could not be applicable to the most of part, you know? So this whole thing of, oh, well, Scott took it down because he said it revealed lore. No, he just said he wouldn't reveal lore by doing that. So that's why he took it down. So damned if you do, damned if you don't. I just don't think this is evidence of anything other than he said it wouldn't be confirming any sort of lore. Let me see. Let's see. In new copies of the logbook, sorry, I'm going back through the super chats I missed. Thank you very much, Wither Circle. In new copies of the logbook, like mine, the Cassidy page number hints are gone. They don't exist anymore. Clearly, this means Andrew line. Yeah, I believe it's Denari actually. Another was it Denari that went through the current logbook, and basically all of those hints don't exist anymore. The page number things. I believe she found out some other solution that led you to the name Timmy. I don't know how that works, or I can't remember the exact details of the video. It was a good video, I remember. But basically, the logbook pages being taken out, I think, is dubious because this is like a reprint of the book. So I wonder if at some point in quality assurance, when they were reprinting it, someone looked at the pages and went, you know, just in some department went, oh, wait, the pages on this page are wrong. I better change that to fix it. And then changed all the numbers and didn't say anything. And so it wasn't intentionally changed. It's just that, like, in the logbook, somebody thought it was a mistake and fixed it, even though it wasn't, and it just hasn't been caught because it was a reprint. I don't think it's a coincidence that those exact page numbers led to the name Cassidy so clearly, and then he used that name multiple times in the future. But you're right, this clearly means Andrew Line. Let me see. Crashmaster, again, thank you very much. I have looked at many possibilities, and with Dave and Cassidy being names that all use clues in the TSL. I'm done. I'm definitely done. TSL FNAF. What does TSL mean? Am I stupid? Oh, survival logbook. Thank you. Sorry, give me 2 seconds. Water check. Water check. Great. In the survival logbook, and in a good way, Dave being a male primarily, Dave equals CC and Cassidy equals second Golden Freddy spirit. Yeah, I want to re-examine the logbook later on, because there's a reason that this is the reading we have of that book. It's not by accident that we've landed on this. It's a pretty solid reading of the book to take it that way, but I just want to re-examine it and see, is there any other things that could be said about it that haven't been kind of looked at as closely. Jada Pug, thank you very much. Jada Pug, thank you. Cassidy is as canon as Michael Afton. Personally, is fanon, character canon. We wouldn't have Cassidy without the logbook, which is in the game timeline. Yes, so what you're saying is Michael is canon, but most people's interpretation of Michael is not. Or it could be, but we don't know. So that I agree with. Again, Cassidy is a character, but I know we put a lot of our own stuff onto these characters, but I mean, is the fifth Golden Freddy, or is the second Golden Freddy spirit the fifth MCI kid named Cassidy? Or is there other options? Let me see. I do want to say the Golden Freddy kid in the movie is a boy and looks exactly like the Vengeful Spirit picture. Thank you, Fazbear Entertainment. I absolutely agree with that. So, just want to make sense. Oh, the Cassidy name puzzle has been missing since release in some copies. I did not know that. So, does that mean it's just a mistake with some version of the book or some printing of the book, and maybe that faulty copy has become the widely distributed one? Because that's a pretty big thing to have not... Scott kept up with the logbook because he knew about the Foxy grid trying to be solved. So he definitely knew that happened, and if he hadn't meant for that puzzle to be in there, he wouldn't have put it in there. I also just don't understand, I guess, the whole Timmy thing, you could argue, but yeah, probably separate printing and editors or something. Yeah, probably different copies that have the wrong thing. So you're going with Fan and Cassidy pretty much 1-to-1 in your reboot, right? I mean, I have my own interpretation of Cassidy. So it's closest to Fanon, I suppose, because it's like a 5th MCI kid who's named Cassidy and is a girl and is half of Golden Freddy. So that being the kind of broad sense character that we're talking about, yes, that's what I'm going with in the reboot. You know, even now, I wonder, had I started the reboot, say, like today, would I have just gotten rid of that 5th MCI spirit? Would I have just gone, oh, I'll just go full bite victim? But I really like the narrative of the 2 kids in the suit, and I think, like a lot of things in the reboot, if you give it more attention, you can draw a lot out of it. It's just right now that 2 spirits in Golden Freddy, I think, is less of a narrative strong point in the series and more of a consequence of weird evidence. So I suppose that might be what I get into next, is where did this idea come from, right? This idea of the 2 Golden Freddy kids, the sharing of the one body. There's a few places, right? So initially it's FNAF 1-3, we think there's 5 kids and Charlie who died, probably a second set of kids in the FNAF 2 location. That's it. Those are our spirits. The first game has the 4 and the 5th spirit, who obviously had to die with the MCI, must be the 5th character, who is the crazy ghostly Golden Freddy. We carry that into 2 and we carry that into 3, especially in 3, where you have 4 MCI victims, the puppet, and this 5th kid who becomes the Golden Freddy kid in Happiest Day. That's the reading of FNAF 1-3 is there's 5 kids who die in the MCI. They become Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, Foxy, Golden Freddy. The spirit who dies outside, actually in FNAF 1-3 it's a boy, so the boy who dies outside of Freddy or Fredbear's becomes the puppet, and then Happiest Day happens when the Golden Freddy kid, the 5th kid, gets put to rest, right? But then we have this weird situation with FNAF 4 where this new kid is introduced to us and is shown to be this really important character, and then this kid is killed by Golden Freddy, is completely associated with Golden Freddy, and seems to be the thing that sets up Happiest Day, because he dies on his birthday surrounded by a bunch of kids in Freddy Fazbear masks, and then like is continually associated with Golden Freddy after that point. And so then you're like, wait, so if the 6th kid in Happiest Day, 4 MCI, Charlie, and then this other kid on the other end of the table, if that's not the 5th MCI kid, then who's that, right? The Dark Devil. Why do you think the male MCI kids are? Fritz is unknown. Are canon, I assume. Fritz is unknown. You're the band Gabriel is super polite but has a huge fear-inducing tantrum. Bonnie's FNAF 1 movement implies Jeremy's a prankster. ComedyBot says he's left at Freddy's. What I mean by canon is purely that, like, we know that the other 4 kids' names are Susie, Jeremy, Fritz, Gabriel. Like, we have the gravestones in line with the heads on the graves, yada yada. So those are what we know about those, and those names are, I guess Gabriel could be Gabrielle, which would tie into the whole stuff in FNAF 1 where Freddy's hiding in the bathroom. That's about all I can say for those. So someone leaving in the chat, Mio. I must have missed Mio leaving. Oh no, Mia. Sorry, Mia sent the super chat. I was like, I'm looking for Mio. I can't pay attention to the super chat. I have to leave, unfortunately, but looking forward to rest later. Thank you so much, Mio. Have a good time, or a good night, or a good morning, or whatever you're up to. Off topic, but could something following Journey Home the logbook to connect to what have you brought home in the FNAF 4 trailer? Huh. That's interesting. Yeah, especially if you connect like Withered Foxy to that whole situation. I'll have a think about that. I feel like my brain will go completely on a separate tangent if I keep going down that train of logic. But I'll have a think about that. That's interesting. I hate the idea that the bite happened at home, but there is some evidence for it. But as I was saying, so if bite victim, as FNAF 4 seems to imply, is not the receiver of Happiest Day, then what happened to the fifth kid who died in the MCI? And then you kind of go, okay, well, maybe they're both Golden Freddy. Because after the series ends, then we have this whole Golden Freddy character that seems to show up and is vengeful. And they're the one William shouldn't have killed. And so we go, okay, well, bite victim died because Fredbear bit his head. Therefore, this can't be the bite victim, so it must be the other Golden Freddy kid who we haven't heard from really this whole time. And then we have the two of them talking, seemingly, in the logbook. And that's where we find out the name Cassidy, and we go, okay, cool, Cassidy is a second Golden Freddy spirit who doesn't become important until Ultimate Custom Night. And that's the kind of chain of logic that led to Golden Duo being the most widely accepted, or one of the most widely accepted kind of FNAF theories, along with Cassidy, as she kind of is seen, like you can see on screen. Happiest Day only has 4 kids and Charlie, then Crying Child, there's 4 graves, then Charlie, then 1 in the logbook. There's never more than 6 graves. This is a great point, Pickle Pepper. So this is what I was going to bring up, right? So with this idea that's led us to Golden Duo and Cassidy being the 5th MCI spirit, either bite victim is associated with the MCI separate to Cassidy entirely for the first 4 games, and then we swap out and have Cassidy be important from then on. Or Cassidy's just never important until Ultimate Custom Night, and only in Ultimate Custom Night. And I suppose also FNAF 6, because it would be the ending gravestones would be her gravestone. Then we have a situation where bite victim's important 1 to 4. Then he drops off the face of the earth. Meanwhile, Cassidy has not been important. Then Cassidy becomes the important one. We find out all about her, and then she remains as the main Golden Freddy spirit that we talk about, because the bite victim is kind of only important up until Happiest Day, and then the logbook as well, but not as important as Cassidy, who would be separate. So then we have this weird situation where there should be at some point where we're talking about 7 graves, but we only ever see 6. Let me see. UCN reveals Golden Freddy at the end of the game. Cassidy always been angry spirit, while CC has been sad. Logbook right after FNAF 6 graves hint at Golden Freddy. Script after logbook hints Cassidy, right name, using Occam's razor. Let's go with that chain of logic. Right. So I'm going to come at it from... Because, by the way, I'm not trying to be like, gotcha, idiots. You know, you think so... I'm so smart. That's not what I mean, because I've been thinking this way for a very long time, which is why I'm familiar with it. Pickle Pepper, Andrew Cassidy don't get a grave. They're not loved. Oh, damn. That's rough. But, so let's go with this idea of UCN reveals Golden Freddy at the end of the game. Okay, so Golden Freddy is important. Golden Freddy, a character who we have multiple associations with the bite victim with. Thank you, big boy. Jeez, you guys are sending a lot of donations. Thank you very much, or super chats, I should say. I don't like Andrew games, but there's a surprising connection in the Steel Wool games. Monty and Bub specifically being forgotten mascots, just like how Andrew is the forgotten kid. Man, sorry, he's also connected to Gators and Fetch. That's true. Oh, that's true. Actually, I never saw the Fetch connection as well, because it's a gator and a dog, which are kind of Andrew-specific things. Man, it'd be crazy if Cassidy turned out to be Bob and not Golden Freddy at all. Mega Modesley, thank you very much. Personal headcanon, since FNAF 4, William and Henry aren't just business partners, they are brothers Oh, brother-in-laws. That's an interesting theory. I don't know if you have much evidence for that, but I like it in terms of like story. So that's cool. But yeah, so UCN reveals Golden Freddy. So Golden Freddy is important to UCN. Golden Freddy also has a story about Bear of Vengeance, which is about a bear who is vengeful, who is in a rivalry with a fox and a pink and white fox. He makes him do chores basically as punishment for messing with him. The bear is vengeful bear, foxy mangle. This is all the stuff I went over in my David Toyshink video, which was a sneaker or what's the word, a sleeper bite victim Toyshink video. So in that video, I basically convinced myself, along with the Toy Cheek at the high school years stuff, showing William basically speaking the Fredbear plush dialogue, references to the Fredbear plush dialogue through other characters, the mediocre melodies with David, and then all the Secret of the Mimic stuff. We've got a Golden Freddy character who's important in UCN, who, as far as we're aware, hasn't been killed by William if we connect it to Bite Victim. But then if we kind of do the work in the middle there and we go, okay, well, we've got all these connections to how the Bite Victim died, and that being kind of thrown back in our face, if we look at that again and we realize that William is that final speaker and he says he's going to put Bite Victim back together, oh, maybe he killed him to put him back together because he was broken and he couldn't be fixed until William knew how to mess with him. So then we have Golden Freddy is important, but Bite Victim, who is the only character thus far who has been associated directly with that character, is the important one. Then the Logbook comes out in FNAF 6, after FNAF 6 and UCN, and we see the graves. And in the graves ending, we had 4 graves lined up, a 5th one covered over by foliage, and then a 6th one on the hill in the background, underneath a tree. So then the Logbook comes out, has a grave that says my name on it, my name. And throughout the book, one of the characters is asking another, do you remember this stuff about your life? Do you remember these toys? Do you remember these things? Do you remember these whatever? Blah, 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 blah. Trying to get him to remember all this stuff. And we've got graves, which are in order, along with the faces in the FNAF 3 ending with the masks. And something I don't see brought up enough is that the one on the end is always attributed to Cassidy, which is the one covered over by leaves and stuff. But the one on the hill should actually be the one that's being attributed to Cassidy, because Golden Freddy was behind the other ones. And if the puppet is the 6th grave, then it being covered over is symbolic of it being invisible to us in that FNAF 3 ending. Like, we couldn't see it. And it's older, so it's grown over. So it's the 1st grave. So, that, yeah, actually, I just thought of that. The Charlie grave is grown over because it's the oldest grave, because she died before the MCI. Charlie 87 debunked. But yeah, if the Cassidy grave is the one on the top of the hill, then we also have more David Murray connections, because that's where Gregory and David sit. So if that's the Bite Victim's grave up on the hill, that makes sense. And it's also behind them. So you've got 2 graves without names. So then you get the Logbook, my name. The whole book is about trying to remember someone's name or remember stuff about their life. And then we find out one of the spirits' names, who seems to be the one that's been communicating and asking the questions, says Cassidy. So this is where we get the, okay, well then that must be the other spirit inside of Golden Freddy talking to them. But I just wonder, like, either, and we have to look at the Logbook a bit later to see if this makes any sense. Either it makes the most sense that the whole book is about trying to get some person to remember something, and at the end of the book story, quote unquote, you find out their name. That would make sense to me if you're making a book. Or the person asking the questions is named Cassidy, but we pick a character who we know already and who is more interesting to, like, or who is more likely to fit that role. And that's when we kind of run into something that's also very unpopular, Cassidy Puppet. Thank you very much, Dark Devil, for the geez, you guys with the donations today. Thank you so much. Just want to make sure I haven't missed anything else. I haven't. Why do you think Toyshink is a he? I think it's meant to be gender neutral. God is gender neutral, but we call him a he. Or the kids call Golden Freddy he, and so they can still call her he in UCN despite her spirit's looks. This is a fair point. This is what when I believed Cassidy Toyshink, that's what I would argue. I would say, well, the spirits are more so referring to the character of Golden Freddy rather than the one you shouldn't have killed, which is weird to me because the one you shouldn't have killed is not Fredbear, it's the spirit, who I believe is Crying Child. So being a spirit is different than, and they're speaking about the spirit, they're not speaking about the character. But I agree that you can argue it that way because I used to. But I'm not necessarily saying that the Toyshink he stuff is great evidence that the bite victim is the vengeful spirit, because it's like, well, it could also be Cassidy and it would be fine. Be weird because Scott has a female Cassidy in the books, but whatever. Newt the Gamer, $20. Thank you very much, guys. Seriously, I always thought Afton specifically picked out the MCI, which is why the victims line up with the characters' genders. But with the new book, with Timmy, oh yeah, it could be why maybe why Cassidy could be a girl or they're a boy, like most media. I haven't seen the leaks. There's apparently leaks for a book out at the minute, which is similar to the Logbook. I have not seen them. I've seen one page, and I don't want to look at the leaks because I'm pretty sure it's out soon enough. I think it's out in a few weeks. So I'd rather just wait to read the book than spoil, but I appreciate your input on that. So... Oh, it's the one page is out. Oh, okay. Sorry, I had someone told me that it had leaked. Although I think I have heard people discussing it more. Let me see. So where was I? Cece isn't associated with Fredbear. He is a plushies of the 5 MCI animatronics in his party. There's 4 bullies and Fredbear itself. He's always separate. Yeah, yes. But the other kids at the party aren't the ones that actually end up in Happiest Day. Presumably, unless it's like Bully MCI or something. So everything in that room is symbolic. So when you have those kids to his right and the whole thing is flipped, and he's the one that dies in the mouth of the animatronic, something that we know, or like nearly dies. He goes into a coma or something. Then, and like the week before, if you think it's canon, has the Bite of 83 be linked to Fredbear. There are links between those two characters, and Nightmare Fredbear in the Logbook and in UCN more so than the Logbook, talks about stuff related to the bite victim. So he is associated with the character of Fredbear. I don't think it's fair to say he's not. He's the 5th kid at the end of the table. Whether it's literally him or it's more representative of him with the MCI there, because that's a possibility. You know, maybe it is Cassie the receiver, but she's standing in for the role of bite victim. That could be the case. But I think it's not fair to say that he's not associated. But Scott would correct us if we made a big essential mistake like that. I don't think he would. Or if he would do it in a game. And one could argue that having multiple times only shown 6 graves and never a 7th could be kind of important. Unless we find out that David Murray is David Afton, and then we have a whole situation where maybe he's a separate grave that's not with the others because he's not technically dead or gone because he's in the mimic or something. Some nonsense like that. I don't know. Scott's Christian and God is gender neutral, so I think that answers that. Scott could see Toyshink as the god of UCN. I would actually argue that his faith might get in the way of him trying to refer to a character in that way. Like, we as fans often attribute certain words and phrases to the characters in FNAF, but I don't know how comfortable Scott is making characters like stand-ins for what he believes in. You know, like I don't think he necessarily is going to put up like a god or write for God or make one of these kids God or anything, because I think he'd be sorry, God David, but I think he would have an issue with that, or I don't know, maybe he wouldn't have an issue with that, but I'm just saying that his being a faithful person doesn't mean he's actually more likely to use it. If anything, it's less likely. But let me see. Ike Effie, thank you very much. Ike Effie. Why do you believe CC blames William and not Mike? Well, so something I went over in the full video, which you can watch. I have more evidence for it there. But I think the implication is that William killed CC, whether it was just by pulling the plug or by spring locking him or something, as some other people have suggested, at the end of FNAF 4. And he is the Fredbear plush speaking to his child, and he says, I will put you back together, and then he flatlines. And the implication now that we know he is the Fredbear plush, that William killed his son. But that's just, again, that's just an idea. So let me see. So I'm just going back through. I'm just trying to see where we were talking about. But yeah, so with the logbook, with that kind of chain of evidence thing, we find out a name in the logbook, but again, it's not specifically stated, and the Cassidy kazoo proves that like there was a reveal to happen. Because if Scott thought that the logbook just told you Cassidy is the Golden Freddy spirit, or is one of the Golden Freddy spirits, then I actually think it's less likely that he would have had a problem with the Cassidy kazoo if he thought it was clear and it was just an answer, rather than, because he said he wouldn't reveal lore, which means that the identity of Cassidy is a reveal in his mind. So if it was meant to be that like straightforward and just super clear, I'm not saying it couldn't be the answer, but he obviously thought there would be some discussion about it, because it's not overt. And then the Cassidy screenplay, like I said, could have been appropriate for other characters, such as who we call Charlie. The name Cassidy, if this whole idea makes sense with Happiest Day being... Oh yeah, I should talk about this a little bit more. The logbook, I think, represents a outside depiction of Happiest Day, or it seems to, where we've got a character tracking through memories and trying to help another character sort through them. And if we put Charlie into that role, or who we call Charlie from other stuff, and just call her Cassidy in the games, like her name is just Cassidy, then we might have a situation where that makes sense. Because if they're trying to help the bite victim remember their name, and then they're going, oh, I'm Cassidy Emily, or whatever, they can still be the puppet who helps in Happiest Day, but they're just named a different thing than in other media. I don't necessarily think this makes as much sense as it could have at the time, because we've had more and more instances of a Charlie named that way, who is the puppet. I think there's other things that Scott has taken issue with, and I think a huge one like that might be an issue. Like if Cassidy was the puppet and not anything to do with Golden Freddy, then maybe he would have tried a bit harder to clarify that. But I don't know. If I remember, Scott wrote a book on Kindle before FNAF started that has similar plot tie-ins. Has anyone ever looked for parallels? I don't know. I am not sure. I am not familiar with that book, but that is cool. Slick J, thank you very much. If William didn't pull the plug, Cece's death is utterly unassociated with William Afton's killing, making it odd for a Cece grave to be on the hill with his victims. That makes sense. That's fair. I will give you that. That if we are purely going by William's victims, and if he is not the one you shouldn't have killed, or that William didn't have anything to do with him, that's why he's kept separate. Though I would argue that usually they're clumped together as like the band, right? Like they are that's what like the band is. Now, again, yeah, maybe he is separate and he's not a part of that band technically because he's his own thing, so he doesn't get grouped with them. That's a fair enough point. I will concede you that. That is a good point, that maybe those graves are not representing all the dead kids, because also then you could argue, where's Elizabeth? She's not included. But I think it's just because Bite Victim is given the Golden Freddy Association that we usually go, oh, well, he must be in with those guys, but he's not. So maybe it's an Elizabeth situation where, oh, yeah, well, they're still important, but they're just not grouped in this because this is not haunted characters. This is just victims that are being tallied up. Let me see. Arcadia's wanted to say hi. Don't really have much to say concerning theories, but I wanted to say that I finally passed everything for my second uni semester. Amazing. Congratulations, Arcadia's. That's awesome. Good for you. Congrats. Everyone get some congrats in the chat for Arcadia's. Thank you very much. And thank you for being a loyal and with a truther. Let's get some congrats going, guys. Yeah, congrats in the chat. Very nice. Let me see. Yeah, I've never heard of that plot one. Oh, I believe Dual Process sent me a big ol' rant on Discord. Oh yeah, awesome. Okay, actually, Dual Process, if you would like to, I wouldn't mind hopping in the chat. I think it might be, is it Connie that's on? Yeah, it's Connie that's on. I don't know if both of you guys are available or not, but if you wanted to hop on a call, we could go for it. Woo! I love all the amazing in the chat. Thank you very much, guys. Elizabeth wasn't loved either. Brackets, good point. Thank you, Pickle Pepper. Yeah, so it could just be... See, yeah, I suppose I saw Elizabeth as somewhat of an antagonist to those characters, or even to just us as players. She seems treated differently, which I don't think is fair, but I suppose, like, she is treated a bit differently than those characters, so that's why I always kind of saw her as a little bit more separate. She's still a victim, you know, at the end of the day, but I don't know. One could argue. Yes, call. Give me 1 sec to get to my earbuds. Okay. All right, we're gonna get Dual Processes. Crashmaster, I sent you something on Discord. CM gets no love. Okay, Crash, I'll check that out now. Okay, Connie is in. We need 2 seconds, Connie. Just gonna try and get this a read from. In Help Wanted, there are 8 graves surrounding the glitching one, not 6 or even 7, 8. So that could include Elizabeth and Bite Victim if we were keeping the MCI and Charlie. 8. 8 is interesting. Okay. But again, see, these things are so weird because you could go, oh, well, Michael's grave might be there, or maybe it's Henry's, or maybe it's Sammy's, or, you know. Well, let me get Connie in here. Connie, hello.
Hey.
Hey, how's it going?
I'm gonna try to add Corey. I'm bad at technology.
Oh, yeah. No worries.
But yeah, give me just here. You continue reading stuff. Let me try to add Corey.
Okay, perfect. Let me see. Arcadia sending in the emotes. If anyone is a member, use those emotes. They are not great. I want to get different ones done, but you get some use out of them. Let me see. Oh, where's your little guy? That's a good question. I think I can turn on these. Oh, there you are. I added your little Discord face. Let me see. Bring this at the top. There we go. Connie's just adding in Corey at the minute.
Okay, I don't know how to do that.
Okay, no worries. Okay. Let me see. Yeah, does Corey want to pop in, or like should we go to a server, or?
I'm not actually. I texted her. I'm not sure if she's online right now, so I'll just let you know if she comes online. Sweet. So okay. So yeah. So hi, Dual Process Theory. We're the CEOs of Cassidy isn't real, but yes. I do want to clarify because people get confused when we say that. We do believe there is a character named Cassidy in Five Nights at Freddy's. We also believe that this character is possessing Golden Freddy. We just don't believe that the little girl vengeful spirit Cassidy that is so popular in the fanon is canon. We believe that Cassidy is the name of the crying child. And basically, so the ramble I sent is about the logbook is I have what I think might be a smoking gun.
Okay.
But I'm not entirely sure, and I'm gonna need everyone's assistance on this because I'm trying to go back into original like reactions and theories after the logbook dropped because I wasn't there. I was busy doing Steven Universe discourse.
But 5 gifted memberships. Thank you very much, Lainey the Witch. Sorry, go ahead, Connie.
Yay, Lainey. But
thank you.
So the thing with the logbook that I think might be the smoking gun is while researching the original theories, I watched the original doco videos and some of the Matt Pat ones.
Yes.
And I realize I cannot find when everyone realized altered text was a separate spirit in the book because the oldest theories don't acknowledge altered text as existing. Doco doesn't reference the altered text page. No one references the altered text page. Matt Pat seems to think that Faded is talking exclusively to Mike, and that led him down the path of Mike victim.
Yes.
I think
dangerous
what happened. So, I think specifically what happened is that it was always supposed to be the crying child and the puppet, and the puppet was the faded text, and what was supposed to be was faded text talking to the crying child. We figure out, oh, it's someone talking to the crying child, and this someone is probably the puppet. And so then we have to find crying child's name because they're trying to help him remember. So I think what it was, but like, no, so was we didn't realize crying child's name was the one we were supposed to find. So the name was assigned to faded text, and nobody thought twice about it, even after we realized Crying Child was in the book. I think that what the logbook was supposed to do was they're trying to jog Crying Child's memory. They ask, what's your name? Eventually, he's able to say, it's me, Cassidy. Who are you? What is your name? And the repeated my names are the puppet's attempt to respond until eventually she writes it on the doodle of a gravestone, which is because the gravestone in there are 2 obscure gravestones in that ending. There is the one that's probably Charlie and the one that's the 5th MCI kid. And I think what it was supposed to be, she's like, my name is on that grave on the hill, which we all assume is Charlie. So I think that's what it was supposed to be, was puppet talking to crying child. But I don't think as a fandom we realized that altered was a spirit in there until it was too late.
Yes. Okay. Yes. So there's a good bit there. I will just do my quick streamer bits, and then we'll talk about all that. Arcadius, thank you very much for the gift of the membership. Thank you very much. And Lainey, another one. Thank you so much.
Yay!
Newt the Gamer, my biggest issue with the CC50. Okay, I'll go into that in a little bit, Newt. I will try and find a way. I'll take a screenshot of that because I missed a couple of super chats last time I streamed, so I don't want to do that again. So I'll just take a screenshot. But yes, okay. So I think personally that there are good evidence points on both sides, because yes, I agree that could be the interpretation, for example, of that gravestone, and that's a good reading of it because there are the 2, and I like the idea of the kind of this is my name. I'm just telling you, like in the conversation, that would be Charlie saying Charlie, but illustrating it in different like ghostly ways, and that's trying to jog David's sorry. I just did it there by accident.
Everyone's David.
Yes, God David. Cassidy's name in this version. But then there's certain things like the my name and then a big arrow pointing to the page number, which is weird because the page number is used as the solving, right? So you have to use.
Hold on, let me grab the logbook.
It's the page with
Forgot about
the
the
guy
arrow, I'll be
skiing.
honest. Let me grab that.
Yeah, it's a guy water
Like
skiing.
skiing.
Yeah. Um. So that to me would say this. What I'm telling, like what I'm pointing at, is the answer
Okay,
to
yeah, I'm seeing
my
it.
name, right?
Yeah, see,
Um.
that is like the only main thing like that I like do concede is like weird if Crying Child's name is the one in the crossword because like
Mhm.
yeah, writing my name does make you think it's Faded's name.
Yes.
That's obvious. The it just is interesting to me that you find it all through altered page numbers
Hmm.
and stuff that Mike wrote down, so Mike's helping. But
Yeah, the
if it
Mike
was
stuff is
like
weird.
but if it was like Faded trying to spelling out their name in the crossword, why aren't they like using the faded text to circle the letters or writing the coordinates in faded text? Why is it in altered text when Crying Child is the one we know alters text?
Yes, I know what you mean exactly. It's see, this is I think people. Is that another donation? That's another membership from Lady the Witch. Thank you very much. Um. So yeah, I think it's weird because no matter what way you slice it, the oh these won't load for me. No matter what way you slice it, you get weird contradictory stuff with the altered and faded going back and forth, especially with those page numbers, because you've got certain instances where the numbers turn red, which is like as if the page is being altered, but they're being altered to red, which is the color that Mike writes in. But it's not like he's written over them, it's if they've changed. But then you have others where there's faded text, like with arrows and stuff pointing, but they're on Mike's drawings. So then it's like, okay, well, did Mike draw that arrow and they filled in my name? Or, and then you've got the whole word search is altered with the it's me's and what is your name and everything. So there's a lot of crossover and contradiction in how those rules work. They're not super clean. Like an issue that people have
Yeah.
with the Evan thing is that the rules aren't consistent all the way through, but technically the rules aren't consistent for the Cassidy name either. And I'm not saying that that's not the name we were supposed to find, but the rules themselves kind of break down. So it's not as clean as altered and faded in terms of how that name is found. So I was trying to look up if I could find the pages on Google so I could have a look at them and zoom in. But I'll just pull them up. But yeah, so I think for a book which is so filled with like memories and talking about memories and being like, reflect on these memories you have and blah 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 blah, and then to be like, and also the name of this other random characters here. You know, it's got nothing to do with the character who we're trying to get to remember stuff. It's a separate character entirely. So narratively, I think it makes more sense for us to be trying to figure out the name of the character, of the character who's forgotten stuff. And I know what you. I get what you're saying about how the initial interpretation actually made like intuitive sense, but it was because we didn't realize that's what we were looking for, that there was even a second spirit, that we just assigned it to one character, and then when we realized the other one was there, we thought we'd already figured out the other name. Which it's a whole weird roundabout way of getting to potentially the correct answer, but potentially not. So one thing, and I'm not trying to make it a debate or anything, because I'm honestly closer I think to where you are than I ever have been.
No, you're fine. I get it. I just like I just get very like, passionate about like explaining
Absolutely.
my point. So
Okay, good, because I more so want to like get my head around certain ideas. So when you're looking at the name Cassidy and you're ascribing that to the bite victim,
Mhm.
how do you respond to something like in the fourth closet, Scott including a character named Cassidy? And I think I know your answer to this because I've seen the video like 3 or 4 times. But for our lovely audience at home, and to remind me, where do you look at the Cassidy in the fourth closet thing? Because to me on the surface, that's okay. They figured out the name Cassidy. It's one of the MCI kids. I'll put her in the next book. She won't be the Golden Freddy kid because I've already put Michael in that role, but here's this character. It's pretty much what you thought it was. There you go. How do you look at that?
Honestly, because here's what I think it might have been, is another thing I noticed when going back to the original Logbook theories, when they found the name Cassidy, is that they all found that name like a week or two before the Fourth Closet released. So Cassidy was already a name planned for that, had nothing to do with fan reaction or interpretation. Okay. My thought is in Scott's weird way, because it might have been just kind of hey, this is a name you can find, like, for the Logbook. And again, it is just extremely weird that, like, in the Fourth Closet, the other missing child is named Michael, and there's no Michael Afton in that universe. Like,
yeah, it is cool. I remember when I watched your video, I went, "Oh my god!" like, for the first time, because when you were like, "Yeah, and who's the other kid that's got the wrong name? Michael. It's Michael and Cassidy." I was like, "Okay, yeah. I'm on the road. I'm on the road to being sold."
But it's and then specifically with Cassidy being the 5th MCI victim, my personal thought is what we were supposed to get from FNAF 4 was the Foxy brother is the Night Guard, the crime child is in Golden Freddy because like all the Fredbear connections, and I think with the family house having so much Freddy's merchandise in it, being right next to Fredbear's, I think we were supposed to connect it's a family business, or the family like works for Fredbear's or something, and eventually the I will put you back together as the killer going, okay, I'm gonna see if I can make you possess Golden Freddy, see if that works. And really just kind of the main thing I just think of when I think of this debate is, like, to get down to brass tacks, there is zero evidence in the games of there being 2 spirits in Golden Freddy, down to Help Wanted 2 explicitly representing only 1 spirit in Golden Freddy twice over. They have only 1 Golden Freddy Voltron figure and only 1 Golden Freddy plush. If there's only 1 child in there, it's only a child named Cassidy or a crying child who might be named Cassidy. Meanwhile, at the same time as this, the Curse of Dreadbear heavily implies that the crying child possessed Fredbear. The week before also heavily implies the crying child is possessing one of the main 5 animatronics, most likely Golden Freddy, as Ralph hears the bite of 83 happen, hangs up the phone, still hears the child crying, and then turns around and gets bitten in the head.
Yeah. And he doesn't say, like, oh no, Chica, he very much, it doesn't describe it.
And following that happiest day is literally explicitly a parallel to the bite of 83, to the point of having a reversed layout. And the FNAF World narrator is most likely the voice from FNAF 4 saying that they would help them. And FNAF World is about setting up the FNAF 3 minigames so that the happiest day can happen. And happiest day happens to the Golden Freddy spirit. And it's a parallel to the bite. And finally, the Logbook clues are found from altered page numbers and hints from Michael with, like, it just really together points to the crying child is the Golden Freddy spirit and is named Cassidy. I just don't see, like, if in the next game we, like, are at Fall Fest and we see, like, a little dark-haired girl named Cassidy and she comes up and she is like, yeah, I'm Cassidy, I'm the Golden Freddy MCI or whatever. Like, I'll accept that. I will accept that. It's the fact that in the games there is zero evidence for this character existing, and a lot instead pointing to there's only 1 spirit in Golden Freddy, and that spirit is the crying child. And, like, kind of by, like, logic, then crying child is the 5th MCI kid, I guess.
Yeah, and in support of your point, the Fast Force figure that you get for Golden Freddy in Help Wanted 2, and this will go back to something someone earlier was saying about how, oh, well, maybe it's Bite Victim isn't represented with those graves because he wasn't a victim of William, so he and Elizabeth are separate, which is why they're never listed with the 5 and Charlie. But the way you get that Phasm Force figure is by putting together 4 other flavors of stuff and then shooting it down a thing, which is very like Happiest Day coded. It's like I think it's in the Fizzy Faz thing. You have to mix the other 4 flavors and then put it down a chute, and it's like, oh, that sounds a bit Happiest Day to me, bringing together the other 4 things and making one, so that, to me, is giving Happiest Day, so that's giving Bite Victim rather than Cassidy. Unless there's some weird situation going on where it is Cassidy receiving it, but it's actually the Bite Victim's memories which are being used to give them the Happiest Day, or something like that, which is very complicated, especially for something so early on in the series. And yeah, like even in the week before as well, there's a scene where Ralph and Chica are about to like face off in the office, and I think it's the cupcake is in the vent, and it gets bitten off, like the head of it gets bitten off and then spit back out, and there's just these like 2 little glowing eyes in the vent, and then I think you die. And it's like, oh, so that's like a Golden Freddy thing, I assume, in the vent, which is also then related to eating and biting heads, and it's like, that's Fredbear stuff. That's not MCI Freddy, it's not MCI Golden Freddy, that's the Bite of 83. That's Golden Freddy from that era, which again is related to Bite Victim rather than this Cassidy character. So I agree. In the games, there's nothing explicitly saying, oh yeah, this kid is definitely in this spirit, and there's actually more than one spirit in it. I think also the Stitch Rate Stingers were a huge aspect of people coming around to the idea of a dual possession, because I think even around the time of both those names having been discovered, it was more of a situation of, okay, well then who is the Bite Victim if he's not Golden Freddy? Rather than, oh, the 2 of them must coexist. But those Stitch Rate Stingers being about 2 spirits sharing the one body, and one of them's angry and one of them's nice, that whole situation made people go, oh, well, maybe these are parallels, the evil word. But yeah, I want to go back actually to this super chat from earlier, which is from Newt the Gamer. Thank you very much. So this is going off the idea of BV fifth or CC fifth, which is not even that the Bite Victim necessarily died in the way that we think he did, that he actually was one of the MCI kids somehow. So my biggest issue with BV fifth or CC fifth is that FNAF 1 newspapers state they have surveillance video of 5 kids being lured to the back, right? First 2, then 5. I will say that even with the conceit of a Cassidy victim, I don't believe that they would have been one of the 5. I think it would have been that Charlie was counted with the 5 and the Bite Victim died in another circumstance.
I actually can help with this.
Yes.
So the FNAF 1 newspapers, I spent a long time looking at them because I had to pull up those assets.
Yes.
What it says is June 26th, the night of, 2 children were caught on camera being lured to a back room, and the murderer was arrested the next morning. The next newspaper says 5 children are now tied to the incident. So what it's saying is only the last 2 were caught on camera.
Yeah.
And eventually they were able to link 3 other disappearances to that incident. And it's like they suspect that the killer dressed up and lured them into the back room. So probably what happened is they were like, well, 2 to 3 other kids went missing at Freddy's, and in a similar area. So we're going to assume that this is like the same incident.
Yes. Yeah, because I know people will argue about this for days on end, where people go, no, it's saying that it's linked to the incident that occurred on that night, meaning, because the way it's worded is funny, where it's like, there are now 5 missing children linked to, actually, I'll pull it up. FNAF 1 MCI newspaper. 5 children are now linked to the incident at Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, where a man dressed as a cartoon mascot lured them into a back room. So that sentence to me reads as 5 kids are linked to an incident, full stop. Where, as opposed to like the comma dash thing they have going on here. Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, full stop. The incident was that a man lured those 5 kids into a back room. That's how it's kind of written, and I understand that interpretation. But there's nothing about this sentence that also says that the other interpretation, where two of them were definitely lured and the other three we don't really know. We're pretty sure it was these kids that were killed in this way, but we don't know. So we're linking it to that incident where he took two of those kids in. So yeah, these papers don't necessarily contradict the idea of Crying Child being thrown in with those five, but I would argue in the first four games that Charlie is far more associated with the other five kids than Golden Freddy is, especially from FNAF 2, because in Help Them and Give Gifts, Give Life, it's her and those four, and then Golden Freddy shows up at the end. In the little plushies you can get on your desk in FNAF 2, you've got the four MCI, and Golden Freddy is like off on his own on the other side of the table. In Happiest Day, there's the four kids and Charlie on one end of the table, and then the fifth kid is on the other end, and he's Golden Freddy. So there's a lot that puts Charlie with that grouping rather than Cece, and presumably if Cece died somewhere with a heart monitor where that flat line is literal and could be heard by somebody, he probably wasn't killed like by going to a Freddy's and being lured away and whatever. He was probably comatose, or at least injured when he died, is how I look at it. So I think it's easier to say a girl died outside or went missing, maybe Fazbear covered it up, and then a couple of years later 3 or 4 more kids go missing, and we kind of link the two of them together. That's kind of how I see that, if that's how the grouping would work. But I can also see, linking the other 4. It's just with Bite Victim, he had such a public incident that it feels weird that if he then died later on, that it would be linked to this guy rather than just dying of his injuries.
That is definitely valid. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's a valid interpretation. Because my personal thought was that the heart line, flat line is non-diegetic. That it's just supposed to be like symbolism of you here, I will put you back together and then die. I'm like kind of more on the Charlie 87 train, but like if she died beforehand, like okay, but like because I think what happened was Crying Child dies in William's attempt to induce possession. William freaks out and hides the body, and then Crying Child is counted as one of the kids, and that's why Afton isn't like the one who's convicted. Because they're like, well, one of his kids is the one who is going missing. Yes. He's like a grieving dad who can't find his kid.
Yeah,
but obviously that's a lot of stuff to happen off screen.
Yeah,
recently is an issue, I will say. But at the same time, this is also Five Nights at Freddy's.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I did a video recently about David, basically, and how I would tie that into
David.
God, David, thank you. Don't want to blaspheme on the channel. That if David and Bite Victim are linked in that way, then there are actually a lot of connections between David and Ultimate Custom Night, which made me re-examine Bite Victim, the one you shouldn't have killed, and that if David and him are the same character, there is so much evidence that he could be the one you shouldn't have killed. And one of those pieces was like, there's a lot of references back to that final speech in FNAF 4. Nightmare Fredbear references it, and Toy Chica the High School Years ends with a "Tomorrow's Another Day," and she also says some other lines about it's basically linking William back to that Fredbear plush, and the idea of that speech being important to Ultimate Custom Night, and the Golden Freddy being the final cutscene, and all this kind of stuff. I was thinking that Scott at the time knew we didn't think Bite Victim died that way, and so what he was doing was restructuring things in UCN to make us re-examine that. So we look back and we go, okay, so William was that Fredbear plush. What does it mean then that he got that final line? What does it mean that he is that person to put him back together? What did he do? Oh wait, there's a vengeful bear with a rivalry with a fox, and a sister kind of character represented by a mangle. Oh wait, maybe the Bite Victim is the vengeful bear, and so that means William would have had to kill him. And that's like, you have to work backwards to get that answer. And I just think it's because we have hospital equipment in the home being shown in the dreams. I imagine it could be a situation of William, to put his son back together, had to kill him and pulled the plug on him, and that heart monitor is literal and like in person because of the hospital equipment that we see around. And the fact that Michael like comes to visit him as well is kind of giving, you know, by his deathbed, you know, sitting by the side, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to, whatever. And then William pulling the plug on him. But I can also see him like taking him somewhere else and spring locking him, or you know, whatever the situation is that gets there. And it is just that issue of, oh my god, why is it off screen though? It seems really important.
Yeah. No, yeah, absolutely. I just, for the record, your crime bite victim one you shouldn't have killed video rocks.
Oh, thank you.
It's
thank you
great, and I can't believe it's like, yeah, the bear who is the vengeful one, and it's like, yeah, that's something.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a really fun one to make, because that video, I was like, huh, yeah, I think because all the David stuff was fun and was like, ooh, hey, I'm having a bit of fun with the, you know, Secret of the Mimic stuff, and then I was like, oh no, wait, God, David ruins everything. Oh no, Bite Victim might be the one you shouldn't have killed. If Bite Victim's the one you shouldn't have killed, is Cassidy even real? You know, and then I just went down that whole rabbit hole, you know. Actually, I wanted to bring up, because you mentioned the Charlie stuff. With these graves that are at the end of FNAF 6, I mentioned earlier that the common attribution of these graves to the names, I think is strange, because in the Save Them image, or Save Them image, sorry, I'm reading the thumbnail text of this YouTube thumbnail. It's the best screenshot I have. The FNAF 3 good ending, or the bad ending, should I say, with the lights on and the masks, shows the characters in the order of Freddy, Foxy, Chica, Golden Freddy behind them, and then Bonnie to the right. Whereas in the grave order, we have Gabriel, Fritz, Susie, this grave off in the back, Jeremy, and then there's like this one covered over on the side. And I was thinking, well, if this one's kind of covered over, could that be Charlie? Because that's representative of her just not being in the original image. Like, she was off screen, we couldn't see her. And then this one would make more sense to be Golden Freddy, because, you know, it's the one that's in the back in the original image. And then this would also tie into, you know, Secret of the Mimic stuff with the grave and the tree and being on the top of the hill where Gregory and Glamrock Freddy sit and everything. I was saying earlier that it could be cool if Charlie did die sooner, that her grave is kind of or she died earlier, that her grave would be like overgrown. But I'm realizing now that it's more that there's just grass off screen that's kind of coming in and covering it up, rather than it being an overgrown grave. But anyway, yeah, this relationship in the logbook. But actually, I have more super chats. I should probably have a look there. Laney the Witch, another membership. Thank you so much.
Read those. You're getting paid.
Yes, exactly. Dark Devil, kind of off topic, but it's interesting. Mike fears the puppet. We have You're the Band Mike opens his mouth in fear. Then Logbook page 13 says, imagine what you fear in a funny way. Let's try it on the puppet. Yeah, I noticed this as well when I was looking at the logbook recently. It's that, yeah, Michael is apparently afraid of the puppet. But I don't really know what that would mean, other than maybe he was the FNAF 2 Fritz guard, maybe.
If Ticket to Fun, like, I think, like, if it reveals anything, I think the most likely might be, I don't know, maybe like job application for FNAF 2 or 3 guard that proves it's cool. Mike. That's a possibility. I'm not gonna like place bets on it, but like that's just kind of the thing. I can see if you had to do FNAF 2, like, but only the 6th night. Imagine going in for a night and you get the chaos of the 6th night, like barely surviving. I can see why he would be freaked out. He
was like, he could have only have been like 18. He couldn't have been that much. He couldn't have been that. He was only a bullied teenager like 4 years ago. He cannot be that old. He was pro. I mean, if he went through the nightmare experiments, then he was ready. He was trained up. William had him set to go.
William accidentally made him cracked at FNAF.
This is how it feels. Listen, I get Mike toy shake as well. But Anyway, yeah, I was gonna go into a whole side theory that I had that William was Jeremy Fitzgerald and Mike was Fritz, and that we were wrong about the first guard. He was like a fall guy. Um, but anyway,
Ooh.
let me see. Just because I think sent a membership. Just double check that.
Yay!
Yay! Thank you so much. Oh, how much lore comes from activity books otherwise? I don't think we have that many other activity books beyond like sticker books and stuff. I don't think we've had any major lore come from other sources like the logbook, like the I was really excited for the recipe book, but then when I saw it, it had like fan art PNGs like stuck over a weird fuzzy background, and I was like, oh, this is not the logbook 2.0, unfortunately. Is there?
Yeah.
Am I forgetting any other activity books?
If anything is going to be the Logbook 2.0, it's Ticket to Fun, but even then, just because of how many times it got delayed, it seems like they had to check stuff over all the time, and the one preview page we already got lore. But at the same
Yes.
time, again, I am just going to be a little bit skeptical until it comes out.
Yeah, I have been burnt before, so I just want
Yeah.
to make sure that we're yeah, because I don't want to get too hyped and be like, oh my god, it's gonna be the next logbook, and then it's just not. But since I heard about it, since I heard about like the pitch for it a while ago, I don't know if it was announced back in the 10th anniversary or when it was announced, but it was a very fun idea. Yeah, I mean, even stuff like they apparently have like UV flashlight puzzles and stuff like that. That
Oh
feels
yeah, that
real logbook stuff.
I've already got one of the UV flashlight from the Gravity Falls era,
Oh,
so cannot
nice.
wait to use that again.
Nice.
This
That'll
is
be
why
fun.
this is why we ended up doing FNAF theories. Alex Hirsch trained us as children to dig into all this crap, and now we're here.
Exactly. Um, so let me see. What else? What else? What else? Is there anything in particular about the like? I suppose what beyond like Cassidy just walking up in the next game and going, hey, I'm Cassidy, I'm the Golden Freddy spirit. Bite victim is in the other room. What would be kind of push you over the edge into that other side of the argument? Like maybe another. What would be the biggest question you'd have to have answered about Cassidy being a separate character?
That
That would make you
is a
believe.
really that is a really good question. That's I think a question people should ask for like every theory they're very solid on
Yes.
is what would it take to prove to make me believe otherwise.
Hmm.
And I think like other than like, her actually appearing, there would be like confirmation that Bite Victim died in the hospital with zero connection to Golden Freddy, like maybe seeing his grave and it's separate from the others, like
Yes.
which would imply he's either not in gold and at the same time somehow canceling out Charlie as fifth missing kid. Like,
Hmm.
if we cancel out both Bite Victim and Charlie, then yes, there's probably another child in there.
Hmm.
Um, Also, yeah, if we get confirmation on a separate crying child name, like I think Dave is probably the closest we'll get to
Yes.
like another option, but even then, I'm a little skeptical on the puzzle. No shade on Hyperdroid. Hyperdroid
Yeah.
rules and is
Yes, he
awesome.
does.
It's just that like the Foxy grid is so complicated and convoluted
Hmm.
that like um anything any solution to it is gonna be weird until we like know for a fact what the answer is.
Yeah.
So and also at the same time, the Foxy Grid also has faded text over it. Is the faded text writing the ABC?
Hmm.
So like, if it's anyone's name, it's Faded's, which is again like wild. But
Yeah,
it, it
it's weird.
that is if it's not a red herring all in of itself. But again,
Yeah.
if like as to what would prove me wrong, other than make me like admit defeat, other than Cassidy appearing, would be canceling out Bite Victim and Charlie as the last MCI kid.
Yes. Yeah. I think I would agree with that because I don't think we're gonna get anything as close to a confirmation as we would like. But yeah,
Oh
something
yeah.
like that where we 100% find out, you know, Bite Victim and Charlie are very separate events, which are very separately documented. Um, like if we found a newspaper, for example, that says Charlie Emily dead, found outside of Freddy Fazbear's Pizza or whatever, Freddy's Family Diner, that to me would be like, okay, well, she can't be a missing kid if they know that she's dead. That would be a big confirmation. Because we never hear about Charlie's death. We never hear about like what happened after that. The only implication we might have is the negative impression of the company after in FNAF 2, but that's most likely the MCI that he's talking about rather than Charlie's death.
Yeah.
I thought of something there with the Foxy. Oh yeah, with the whole Hyperdroid solution. My main issue with that was that the mirror with the what do you see. I love that connection and the reflect on what you remember, but my issue with that is that it's not across from the Foxy page; it's across from the mirror.
The crossword.
Um, and
Yeah,
or
exactly.
from the crossword. Yeah, so like it's me being all over that grid. What do you see? It's me, Cassidy. Could be a good answer to that, right?
Yeah.
I had a consideration when I did that. So you've seen the Bite Victim David Toyshink video, right? The one that I
Yeah.
did. Yeah. So I talked about that or I spoke about in that video the idea that Red Bear from FNAF World is representative of Crying Child, or is in some way an aspect of Crying Child, which is also working to put himself back together, right? That idea that FNAF World, the character in that becomes the Adventure Fredbear in UCN, being if the logbook is showing us some form of Happiest Day or some form of FNAF World in a more literal sense or a more outside perspective of that, and then we have this idea of CC potentially putting himself back together or being an agent or being helped by some outside force, the whole my name thing could become solved by if it's parts of CC trying to remember the other parts, or like he's putting himself back together, or he's being put back together from all these like separate little pieces of himself. My name, my name, my name, my name. What do you see? My name, Cassidy. It's me.
Yeah.
You know. So then the my name becomes his like yeah, like you were saying earlier. It's the prompt. What do you see? I see my name. It's me, Cassidy. That works, and it's also in front of a mirror where it would be like he would be looking into the mirror and seeing himself and saying Cassidy. It makes sense. I almost wish that those my name hints led to the mirror, and then you had to put them into the
Yeah.
logbook would be cool, or into the crossword. But I think there are ways around the my name thing which aren't as like it's not as like 100% foolproof as people I think view it as a lot of the time, which was something that I then had to look at a little bit closer when I started to consider all this aspect of things, all these different elements. Ephemeral Sean says, how do you feel about Follow Victim in relation to the logbook? Follow Victim, that's a new name I haven't heard. Follow Victim.
Is that the crying child is the fifth spirit in Follow Me?
No, I would have thought so too, but apparently it's the theory centered around the idea that Bite Victim attached his soul to Michael and is following him around. I have a similar idea for what Shadow Freddy is. That Shadow Freddy is kind of that because he seems to appear where Michael is, but I don't know about Follow Victim because, like you said before, he seems so heavily associated with Golden Freddy rather than specifically Michael, or like he seems associated with that animatronic or that character, that seems to be the form he takes rather than like just like a loose spirit that's sort of walking around hanging out with Michael. I don't know. I know we're obviously just looking at this loosely, but is there anything you have as an immediate reaction to the idea of Follow Victim?
Uh, no immediate reactions. I guess I can see it. Um, Oh yeah, what's the evidence listed? Coming home, Susie's soul returns home. Okay, that's a separate incident. It's possible FNAF, he's responsible for FNAF 4 nightmares. Yeah. Uh, Logbook. Yeah. Yeah. I guess there's really no evidence like super against it, but I don't really see any evidence super for it.
Mm-hmm.
But like, yeah.
Yeah.
I,
Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. I suppose. Yeah, I'd wonder why specifically Michael. I mean, obviously because of what he did, but I think you have the same kind of issues with that as you do with just him attached to Golden Freddy altogether, because he didn't seem to die in the suit. Again, we don't know. I do like the idea of the spring locking. I don't like the idea of it, but I like it as a solution
yeah.
to that.
I think, and it was also, I think Phasant sent, there is something in the Ultimate Guide like that where in like the Curse of Dreadbear section where it's specifically like they're like it seems like they're trying to point us towards the idea of like Afton like being a mad scientist and something's to do with the crying child or whatever, but like let me see if I can find the exact passage, but like the way it's phrased, I'm like it seems like they're like, hey guys, have you considered that?
Yeah, those Ultimate Guides
Hold
to
on.
me are just like no man's land. I just go nowhere near them because
Yeah,
I'm just like
I don't.
they're so messy.
They're messy, but they're very funny. So I can't wait for the new one to come out. Apparently, one of the preview pages seemingly confirms that Cassie is 8 years old, or like like 8 years old, which
Interesting.
Wild. Poor Gregory.
Yeah,
If we assume he's the same age, he's 8.
There's no way.
Has been running around with this pizza flex for like
She is
how long?
very, very capable 8-year-old. Oh my god.
Yeah, dude, if
crazy.
he's 8, like that's insane.
See, that's the thing is those are the kind of details that I'm like, did Scott give them a character bio, or did someone look up like the FNAF wiki and just kind of type whatever they saw, and they happened to stumble across somebody's like Tumblr where they'd drawn a picture of her on her 8th birthday, and they went, okay, she must be 8, and just put that in. I don't know. I would have said like 12-ish would have been my kind of guess for age wise.
Oh, also, at Not Voss in the comments, yes, I am a Charlie Last person. Just Charlie 87 specifically. But like again, if like it turns out she was the first, like yeah, that tracks, I guess. Like,
yeah,
but okay. I found the specific Ultimate Guide section. Certain fans have drawn a connection between FNAF 4's I Will Put You Back Together and the theming around Dreadbear. The idea of taking something inanimate, something dead, and giving it new life through an animatronic rang more than a few bells for theorists. And then, like, basically the rest of the paragraph is connecting William Afton in the Fourth Closet and FNAF 4 House to Dreadbear and all that stuff. Yes. But, like, it's just very interesting for you.
Yeah, isn't it the inanimate making... It's like we are now perverting the laws of science by making the inanimate animate or something. It's some line like that. I heard it earlier today, I think, actually.
Dude, Dreadbear is so good. I love that.
Yeah, it's cool. Because it's interesting. Yeah, the inanimate animate or it's the undead animate or something. I want to find that. Curse of Dreadbear. Brain game. I don't know what it's called. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna stream this to you on Discord so we can watch it in sync rather than.
Oh yeah, hold on. Let me.
Separately. There we go.
There we go.
Working on Dread.
What's up, guys?
Oh no.
What's up, guys?
What's up, guys? Fusion Z Gamer here. Let's see. Okay. Curse of Dreadbear. What is it like? Brain. I'm not sure. Gameplay. Do you know the name of the specific minigame? I can't remember.
I do not. But while the FNAF wiki can be a little weird, it does have like audio collections. So let me see if I can find. the Dread Unit audio
Yes.
lines there.
Red Bear.
Let's see.
Someone in chat's probably screaming.
Okay, yeah,
right now.
here, I'm gonna send that over Discord.
Cool.
It looks like they do have the audio on the
Awesome.
wiki, so
that is much more helpful. Thank you.
uh,
Here we go. All right, I'll hit play.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for visiting, and we hope you enjoyed the show. Freddy and the gang are pretty tired, but they'll be back again next week after a few...
Not the right one.
okay, so
So...
wait, okay, so no, this is just the security breach. I'm sorry. Give me a
Dread
sec.
Dread Unit is for some reason the name of Hand Unit in Security Breach, which is so weird.
What? And then not in Cursive Dread. Okay, okay. I found the actual audio.
Okay.
I found it.
Sweet, thank you. Technical difficulties, folks. Let me see. Audio visit site. Here we go. Okay. Hairpins. Here we go. Welcome. Oh yeah, it's research and development.
Welcome back to Research and Development. Today, we are using science to pervert the mysteries of life and reanimate the inanimate. To begin, it is customary for the creator to give a melodramatic speech. Go on.
Yeah, that sounds like William.
Yes.
All done? Good job. Now, let's wake our little experiment with a controlled shock. Throw the switch, then lower the platform.
Yeah, so even the controlled shock stuff, obviously it is Hand Unit, but it is giving, sister location experiments. This phrase, reanimate the inanimate, is interesting because obviously we are reanimating the dead, but the inanimate implies that it is an inanimate object which we are reanimating. But there's something about that phrasing which I'm like, we're not animating the inanimate or reanimating the inanimate. So it's like we're putting the spirit from something that was animate that is now dead into something which is inanimate to give it life. And it's an interesting little phrase. Research and development. See, the problem with this stuff now is like, is this actually all just big David Murray foreshadowing? It has nothing to do with the bite victim, and it was all part of the weirdness of Scott's communication style at the time, or is this actually 100% accurate? It's a weird era to pull from in terms of
it could be a David foreshadowing, but just the fact that Dreadbear himself is so tied to Crying Child with the brain thing, with the lake thing, with being named Dreadbear instead of like Frank and Freddy, that connects him more to Fredbear than Freddy. Like I just do think it's supposed to be like something to do with CC.
Yeah, and Scott really only discussed those communication issues with Security Breach, and it didn't seem to be much of an issue with Help Wanted. He didn't say like, oh yeah, and I completely messed up Help Wanted as well, and that's nothing to do with what I wanted either. So I assume if he had wanted to do this about David Murray, and they had interpreted it being about, because that's what people think happened with Gregory, is that he was supposed to be another David, but they thought he was another Crying Child, so they made him dress like him, and Scott now has to wrangle with all these pieces. But I don't see why they would give this like big focus to Dreadbear about bringing him back to life and experiments and all this kind of stuff if Scott had no interest in anything bite victim related. I feel like he would have caught that at least. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah.
The parents likened them to reanimated corpses. That's a good poll, actually, Hans Gruber. That's from one of the original FNAF 1 newspapers. That's good. No shot, it was foreshadowing. I don't know. Yeah. You never know. Scott could have had all this in the bag, just cooking away. So yeah, let me see. I'm curious if anyone is a little more convinced than we were at the start of the stream. I'm gonna put back in the Cassidy belief. Yes or no?
Okay.
I'm gonna put this back in as a poll. I'm curious to see if anyone's been at all swayed. So this is sorry,
honestly,
I should say Cassidy belief is believing in the classic Cassidy.
Yeah.
right? Not the.
I will say, other thing I forgot to bring up is it's just so interesting that the Golden Freddy child in the movie, first of all, is a boy. Second of all, is a boy in a striped shirt. Third of all, has the same hair color as Vanessa, to the point where they dyed the actor's hair to make sure he was blonde.
Oh, really? I did not know that.
That was interesting to me, considering like the other kids don't necessarily have hair colors to match their animatronics or whatever. They specifically said the kid in Golden Freddy needs to be blonde. And like the fact that he looks like Vanessa just makes me, and again, William says like the mess that you created, or like the problem that you created or whatever to Vanessa does make me think that she's basically the movie version of Mike. There is also like people brought up like he could be talking about like just her blaming her for causing problems by not watching Mike clearly enough. I don't know. It just seems to me like that's saying like this is your fault because you shoved your brother into a bear.
He's also the spitting image of the one you shouldn't have killed image, like with the blonde.
Yeah, that is
like,
very interesting.
Yeah, so because for when I believed Cassidy, vengeful Cassidy, but not Cassidy Afton, like the kind of classic one, I thought that was weird in the movie, and I was like, oh, so then is it Cassie he? Is it a boy that looks like that, or how does it work? Like what do we take from the movie to this? But if he turns out to be another one of William's kids, and that he is the vengeful one, and he is the hateful one, and he is part of that kind of grouping of kids, I will just be like, all right, Cassidy Afton. All right, here you go.
Yeah.
I'm on board. Yeah, we seem to have swayed some of the non-believers. I think we were at like 72% yes before, and we're at like
that's good enough for me
now. So that's pretty good. So let me see. If Cassidy is crying child, that would be crazy. Yeah, I mean, I think it's a lot more, because the thing is with FNAF theories as well is they all start to build on one another as you go along. So when you kind of pull one piece out here, everything starts to topple down, and so it becomes more difficult to analyze one individual piece, because you go, okay, what if Cassidy is bite victim, and that's his name, and then you go, okay, well that actually then makes me question what the MCI was. Okay, well, if I'm questioning what the MCI was, when did they all die? Did they die in the same night? Were they spread out? Okay, well, that's different than the movie and the book. But then the book is like this, and this says this about the other thing. And then you just like go on this whole cascade of questions. So I understand why people kind of go and latch on to the most well talked about version, you know, because a lot of people are quite dismissive of an alternate take on bite victim. Especially the Cassidy Afton thing. I think an extra examination of the logbook is in order. I'll see if I can pull it, because I do have the logbook here on my computer that I can hopefully pull up if I can figure out where I have it. Logbook scan. There it is. All right, let's see if this will work. All right, I'm gonna swap out this window capture. There we go. All right. And then I'll try and stream that to you on Discord.
Oh, yeah, there we go. I actually do have the book.
Oh, you already have it.
With me.
You are probably more reliable a source than this like
very,
one scan.
Very colorful tabs marking different sections.
Let me see. Okay. So, let's just go through. We've got the book belonging to Mike. We've got these sticky notes, which seem to be it's very. Who do you think left these sticky notes? By the way, I know this is kind of off topic, but like, do you think it was Frights? Or
maybe Phone Guy?
Or?
Well, probably not Phone Guy, because this seems to be FNAF 3. Just kind of vaguely whoever at Fazbear reused the logbook.
Yeah. Because I kind of took it as, because there's the mention later of the spring locks, and it's like, don't tell anyone about these. but it seems to be at FNAF 3, which should be post the closure of all the Freddys. But I wondered if this is the Frights team that are reselling this after the fire, and they don't want to like bring up the Springlock suits or whatever, or they're like playing into the whole, you know, horror attraction thing, like, oh, don't mention these Springlock things. But yeah, I suppose let's keep going through this. We have
talk about Springlock. No,
we've got our screw bolts and hairpins. We got Foxy reading screw bolts and hairpins. Just another, you know, Mike is Foxy. You know, keep up that imagery. It's important. I suppose we should go through. Yeah, this is the page people were talking about earlier about the, you know, helps to imagine what you fear in a funny way, and then the puppet is the one that's there. I will say it is cool that the puppet is in faded drawing.
Yeah. They really did, like, because it's like sketch a costume for the puppet to wear, but it is like kind of the same faded, like.
Yeah, I wonder if we find one of those faded messages.
Let's see. Hold on. I know one of them's on page 31 because that's where the puppet is. Where you can see, do you remember your name?
Yes. Let me see. Yes. And obviously there's Cassidy.
Yeah. Honestly, it's entirely possible that was supposed to be Charlie, but like, who knows?
Maybe. Yeah, reflect on the happiest day of your life. I mean, this, I understand why people connected there. I think, though, it's like, is this Cassidy, or is this supposed to be the representation of the happiest day, or is, because this is part of the book, right? Like, this is actually like printed in the book. We could say that actually as well about the faded puppet at the beginning. It's obviously supposed to be there, but this is like one of these drawings of Foxy. Like, it's in the book, so unless those images are also being altered, like, do we have any other instances in the book of one of those style drawings being altered in any way?
We do not see any other drawings of children or non-Fazbear characters.
Yeah.
Which is very interesting, and why I think it might be Charlie instead of a random girl. But it is something interesting to note that that's the only time we see a non-Fazbear character.
Yeah. The only instance I can think of like a seemingly weird inclusion in these drawings is the 5 and 4 and 3 in the comic strip, which Mike refers to, but he obviously didn't draw those in because they seem to be printed with the comic itself. So it could just be that he saw those and then worked out that would work for real value. I don't really know how that one's supposed to work.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm skipping ahead. I should say we have these orders. We have these coupon pages which say different. They have different titles and they have different pricing. I have a theory at the minute that these might relate to the order of events, where which characters died in what order. Where Take Your Family Out would be Charlie's death, where it's a family member of Henry Emily. Outside, you know, Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. Then I think the next one we have is Take a Bite Out of Fun on Your Next Birthday. And this is also the coupon page that has Happiest Day on it. So that's, you know, bite victim, I think then the next one is something about like slice up some family fun at Freddy Fazbear's. That would be the MCI, I guess. And then Grand Reopening is FNAF 2. And they have like more expensive prices because it's later on in the timeline. Yeah. We wouldn't have Elizabeth, but presumably we wouldn't be including her in this list of victims.
She's ignored even by the logbook.
Even by the magic logbook that has ghosts in it.
The magic logbook is like, do we have to?
Yeah. Let me see. Mike likes chewing gum, which gets brought back in the week before. I know some people have had dubious thoughts about the week before's dubious thoughts. People have thought that the canonicity of the logbook of the week before might be in question now that the Tales games has been completely debunked with Secret of the Mimic. And if it is the case that author because he said apparently that he worked really hard to make it fit. So if it is just the case that author was just really dedicated, then fair play, because did a great job.
Fair
it's really,
play,
really
yeah.
well
Did
done.
did a great job, because like the thing is, like, it's just that like week before is so like consistent with the games, and like the fact that that was like the first one to release, and then the others were like, you know, not as quality. I Corey's conspiracy theory is that they only wanted to make the week before, and then Scholastic said 3-book deal or something. That's a conspiracy theory. We don't have any, like, you know, basis in that. But it is just interesting that the week before is the one that's the most detailed, the most game accurate, and like it has like just such minor details, like it had to have been Scott's idea to name the daughter Capelia, right? Like that is so.
It's
like,
so Scott.
That's a reference most of the kids in the target audience are not gonna get. Like, I had to Google it, because I'm not very knowledgeable in ballets and operas and all that stuff. But
I have no idea myself. I was like, cool, I'll take your word for it, everybody, because I have no idea.
Then like Return to the Pit was like that. It was
it existed.
also like implying a happiest day. Like the cake was actually all we needed, and it wasn't like symbolism for anything. Like, although Return to the Pit, people keep saying like, well, this book absolutely proves time travel, and it doesn't, because everyone completely ignores the bit where he goes to the neighbor's house and the neighbor has been replaced with Chica. Which,
everyone ignores that. It's so annoying.
Either that means the neighbor is also time traveling, which I severely doubt, or Oswald is caught in a loop.
Yeah,
which I think is more likely.
Out. Yeah, I just think he's
especially
just
when it says like, especially when it says like when he's following the rabbit in one of the endings, it says like you feel like you're living someone else's memory or whatever. It's like, this Return to the Pit. Even if you don't believe loop theory in regards to the game, Return to the Pit is absolutely a loop. Like, and then Escape the Pizzaplex just kind of doesn't fit with canon, because like Roxy only refers to Cassie from her birthday. She's like, I remember you from your birthday, not from, you know, when we hung out every single night. Cassie refers to like the Pizzaplex as this old place, implying she doesn't have a huge emotional connection to it. Like, and she's confused as to why Gregory would want to meet up there. Like, I think probably what it was like they were supposed to be games canon, but like didn't get checked over as much. Like, it's just very interesting that the week before is so close to canon and the other two aren't.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, at this point, I just consider, like, Week Before is the only one I think is canon, just because of how close it is. And even then, like, I think it's, like, kind of semi-canon, because I do think, like, that's also a time loop, like, incident.
Right. I kind of do a little bit of, like, baby out with the bathwater when it comes to the interactive novels, because I do look at Return to the Pit and I see that despite its weirdness and like strange choices, if it is in continuity, there are certain things that were changed from the original stories that didn't have to be changed but were changed to make it align with the game's canon. Now that again could just be a situation of, okay, well, you know, we need something for the theorists to make a video about, so we'll change little bits here or there, and they could talk about what version's canon and what's not. You know, that it could be that kind of situation.
Yeah.
But the week before, I already thought it was canon before Tales Games got debunked, and I never thought Tales Games was true. So Tales Games being debunked doesn't really alter my opinion on it. Only that I'm now more aware that it is a possibility that you can just have something that is 100% completely separate, you know, being published in the modern era. I already thought that, but now I know that, so now I'm a little bit more shaky on the interactive novels, but I'm also like, you know, I thought it was canon. I never thought Tales was canon, so it shouldn't really change my view on it that much. Peanut Butter Sandwich, thank you very much. Do you think the week before is canon or not? I was just talking about that. So there you go.
Yeah.
That's my thoughts.
Real quick.
Yes.
Fazbear Entertainment said that the logbooks without the Cassidy puzzle, which I do think the logbooks without the Cassidy puzzle is just probably an error. Like probably Scholastic was like going through the reprint and going, oh, some of these pages are wrong. Let's just fix that. But apparently, the logbooks that don't have the Cassidy puzzle might have an extra letter in the Foxy grid, due to coordinates, which is interesting, I guess.
Wait, what has an extra coordinate in the Foxy grid?
It says the logbooks without the Cassidy puzzle might have an extra letter in the Foxy grid. Be coordinate 111, I think. Me and FNAFology. He says me and FNAFology have both seen it and both lack the puzzle. So there's an extra faded letter.
Oh, so it goes A B C D E or instead of A B C D?
Yeah. Yeah, I think. So
that's weird. That's a very weird thing to be different.
Yeah, I really do think the lack of the Cassidy puzzle was just a mistake on the editor's part. Just like, oh, well, we'll fix the page count, and someone had to call him up and be like, so here's the thing.
Yeah, literally. That's to me that makes the most straightforward sense. Is the page numbers are wrong. We'll fix them, and they didn't realize what they were doing, and it didn't get caught because it was a reprint. Although people were saying apparently it's been there since the beginning, that there were always copies that were wrong.
My copy, I got my copy like maybe I got it before we made our video, so maybe like a year and a half ago, and my copy has the Cassidy puzzle, so
okay. The thing about the Foxy grid has always been like, because any solutions I've ever seen have only been from like 1 to like 17 or something, and 1 to 10 or something being used. And I'm like, why do we have this massive grid, like this huge grid that if you do the whole A, B, C, D, E, F, G all the way up, and
Scott, is that just a red herring, or
yeah, are you just messing with us?
I think Fazent is saying that it's like at coordinate 111 they wrote an E, so like or something. But the see, like, because I mentioned I mentioned on last night's book New Kids stream. If I could ask Scott one more question, it would be, what was the ending of the New Kids supposed to be? But honestly, a follow-up would be, was the Foxy grid meant to be solvable? Because I think that would answer like if the answer is yes, then like, okay, yes, we can look at like, all the different solutions people have come up with. If the answer is like, no, it was a red herring, or no, that was like got misinterpreted, then like that would be good to know. Like, yeah,
that's my. Someone just asked Mason Law, thank you very much. How many theories in this series are just caused by Scott's lack of proofreading? All of them.
All of them.
Yeah, every single one.
All of them.
No, I mean, obviously there's intentional mystery, but I don't like the approach sometimes that Scott has with mysteries, where like the retcon is my favorite example, where he admitted that there was a retcon.
Just tell us what that was.
Just tell us what it was. Why would you not?
That's just causing more confusion. Just say like I think we'll accept if he's just like, yeah, it was one thing no one noticed and then like I fixed it. If he just said like, hey, the retcon was originally Golden Freddy was the killer suit, or hey, the retcon was that they were singing the same songs for 20 years. I decided it was 15 instead, or like something like that. I think we could just say like, okay, and then move on.
Yeah, honestly, like it just, there's no need for it to be a mystery, because he said it was small. He said it wasn't important. He said that most people didn't even catch it. So why then keep that a mystery? Because then you just create this discourse of people being like, well, I think that your theory's wrong because I think it was the retcon. And then you go, okay. Or they go, I think my theory's right because I think it was the retcon. And then you just have that forever with every theory before FNAF 4. It's like, it's infuriating. And especially when you set this precedent of like, there's only ever one. And it was like, that was a very long time ago, first of all. So anytime anyone
Yeah.
goes, there's no such thing as retcons in FNAF, except for the one, which I think was that the FNAF building had no party rooms, the first one. And I'm like, that doesn't matter. Like, why? There's surely been other things that are or what does he count as a retcon? Is something that's not on screen a retcon, or can he change his mind
Technically,
behind the scenes?
retcon stands for retroactively canon, which you could say the killer's name being William Afton is retroactively canon because he
Yeah,
probably
everything in
didn't
FNAF
think
is-
up a name for the killer originally. So like you
Everything
have to
in FNAF
define
is
like
retroactive
I
continuity.
assume we're defining it as I had something canon and then I decided it wasn't anymore or changed
Yeah.
like what it was. And like with that definition, like it just it's okay if like Scott, it's okay if you just tell us like what it was. Like we'll understand.
Yeah, like I think Scott might look at a retcon because if he considers a retcon to be anything behind the scenes not being what it used to be by the time the game comes out, like just say between sequels he has a change of heart about something in the story and he changes his mind and he makes the next game kind of hint at something else but uses the same pieces. If he counts that as a retcon, then he's just lying that there was only one between FNAF 1 and 4, because there are so like the whole toy's existence is in that sense a retcon because it was not something that was planned or established or anything like that in the story beforehand, so slipping that in would be a retcon. So I think one retcon means that anything that's on screen, verifiable, usable information that is then changed to be incorrect and actually just you shouldn't use it anymore, that would count as a retcon. But then my question is, why wouldn't you just tell us what that was? Because otherwise it's really hard to make theories when you can't trust any bit of information on screen for the first 4 games.
Yeah.
Anyway, that was a long old tangent. Megan Jo Modesley. Scott watching us puzzle out his plot holes and red herrings in a lawn chair, sipping coffee salted with Matt Pat's tears. Yes, absolutely. That's probably why he didn't tell us, so he can someday listen to every theorist complain about it. Let me see. Let's see here. Yeah. So I'm trying to let's look at this logbook thing because let's go to this the page itself. The word search. It's me. Who are you? What is your name? See, this is the one other thing, right? Who are you? Mm-hmm. What is your name? Being in the grid, and then on the opposite page saying, what do you see? And the hints leading there being my name sounds like chronologically what happened was the word search or the alter text asked who is speaking to him, and then the what do you see was, oh, look in the word search. It's my name. I'm Cassidy. Like, I'm the one responding to you.
I definitely see that. Mm-hmm. I just, again, it's the fact that the clues are given in altered numbers. Like, why did Faded alter the numbers when they could have just, like, circled the letters? And
that's
then, like, it's that plus, confusing. Like, all the other stuff pointing to crying child stuff. But,
it's confusing, I think, to say the least.
Yeah, I think it's a mix of very good puzzle design and very poor puzzle design.
Yeah,
which is what makes it confusing.
Yeah, if you, I think that was part of my idea when I was like, oh, maybe it's the crying child talking to himself or something, or there's like a split in his mind going on, or it's the agony of the plush or something, who knows, is that he would then have access to both abilities, and it wouldn't just be like A spirit who can do this and B spirit who can do this. It's like it's the one kind of being, which who knows, maybe now it is David Murray in there. Because that's
God.
What is up with this scrapped Chica in the back of the book? I still don't know.
I don't think we ever figured out what that was supposed to be.
Yeah, I really don't know what the idea is, because this was after 6 and UCN were already out, so like this isn't a tease for the next game. Like, this is like Susie's the one in the book. Susie's the one that was favorite ride was the carousel. It's very strange. It's very, very strange. Like,
I also want to know what that Chica was supposed to be about.
yeah,
Because like, if it's just a creepy image, why something we've never seen before?
yeah, yeah. I don't know. It's weird. Like, why is that the very last image of the book? You know, it's even in the confines of the logbook itself because it's got the, you know, the red pizza page. It's supposed to be within the bounds, so it's just, I don't know. Like, is it supposed to be important for the book itself? Like, are we supposed to question if Susie's present somewhere? Is this what she was up to between, I don't know, being
Susie's the vengeful spirit. She was just so mad at William for killing her dog.
She's mad at us for not figuring out what her point was in the logbook. But yeah, even like the Cassidy letters, some of them are given by Mike. And it's like, did Mike know? Did Mike know who the other spirit was? Is he helping? Is that a coincidence? Is that the spirit using what's already there? I don't know.
Sticking a big gold "I'm helping" star on Michael Afton.
Yeah. He's literally got a big old thumbs up with his badge next to there. So who knows? Yeah, and then this is across from the "I'm scared I can't see" page. Like,
and like, see, the reason, because I pointed out that I don't think people noticed altered text existed at the beginning of like logbook theorizing, and I think that is like because the reason we know that's altered is that's a repeated page. Is at the end of each night they give you the like questionnaire, the rating, and the reason we know it's altered is because that's different to all the other ones. And so I'm wondering if like people just like, you know, skipped over that one, didn't really look twice at it. And until people were like, wait, someone looked at it and said, hey guys, is Crying Child also in this book?
Yeah. I think so, because when I get to these pages, I sometimes forget and I just skip over them. But we've got "I can hear sounds." It was for me. This is also weird, right? It was for me. It's happening chronologically, or in the book anyway, page-wise, is happening before the sentence "the party was for you," even though those are associated as like a call and response.
I guess clearly the spirits don't follow page chronology.
Yes.
This would be so much easier if they just went in order.
Yeah, because we've got the "my name" stuff obviously before the crossword puzzle, so they're jumping around one to the other. Does he still talk to you? That's gotta be William, surely, in the plush, right?
Probably, or like just asking the Crying Child specifically, like, do you hear, like, hey, when you go through the loop of your death, is the bear still talking to you?
Oh yes, yeah. Oh, that'd be weird if it's. Well, who do you think that? Oh, you'd think it would be Charlie then? So you believe loop victim?
I don't see. If I get into what I think is up with the plush bear, that's gonna take up like another hour, and all I will say is I have like a full script written down. Me and Corey just need to record it.
Nice.
The relevant part is I think that FNAF 4 is the Crying Child looping the week before he died, very similar to Ralph and possibly Oswald. Okay. And week before in Return to the Pit, we're supposed to communicate to us that sometimes happens to ghosts rather than just wandering the same place. They wander like the memory.
Right. Okay. Interesting. I'm a a god victim prophet, so
yeah, that's fair.
I'm not on the, because I actually, part of what inspired this stream was I was watching Sire Squawks did a FNAF 4 deep dive thing yesterday. I was watching the VOD of that.
I gotta watch that.
Yeah, it was fun. He was kind of doing his own version of it was kind of a blend of memory victim and loop victim, where he's looping, but he was connecting it specifically to the week of FNAF 2. He had some good revelations in there, but I liked him just going and yapping. So it's a good one to look at if you're kind of already in that headspace. But I see the thought process behind it. or the dual process behind it. Sorry.
Yeah.
I mean, here's another one. My name is written on the grand reopening page, in red faded text, which is like, what? And then, but the number doesn't even come from this page.
Here, let me
you have to
what
go to
page is
61.
this? 79.
This is 79. Yes.
Yeah, let me check.
It's not like a scam.
If it's
thing.
red on mine. Yeah, it is red on mine.
Yeah.
Or it, I mean, maybe it's just tinted from the blood, but it does seem to be red.
Actually,
so, like,
you know
is
what?
Mike both of them?
No, you know what I'm thinking now?
There's no way.
This is a puzzle design thing where, because on this page you don't get the number, you have to follow Mike's code.
Right.
So it's the spirit is communicating, look at Mike's writing, look at my name in red, and then you have to go to page 61 to do that. Maybe it's because there isn't a page. Oh, that's why. It's because there's a page with no page number, so you have to go to a page with a page number. So that's why it sends you to page 61, which gives you the 5, 4, and 3. But that's so weird, because then did the altered put that there, or was that there already, and it was just the spirit using that to...
It was Mike like, sorry, we erased the page number. I'll find a way to help you.
Yeah, I don't know.
I got you, fam.
Yeah, what order? Like, did Mike have this and then they haunted it? Did he have it while they were being haunted? Like, it's... The order of events is very confusing, obviously because it's non-linear. So then it's just a question of, like, how much of... Because, yeah, on this page with no page numbers, the My Name uses the altered numbers in the Feelings About Tonight's Shift, which is in the Hope category. It swaps 7, 4, and 5 for 7 and 2. Which, again, it's like... So now we're just using anything. We're not even just using page numbers. But this is altered by the altered text, which would be in the place where it communicates later on. From a narrative point of view, I think it makes more sense if... but it's my name. Oh, it's so confusing. It's such a nightmare. Wait, why didn't he just write his fucking name? So
Mike's just,
true.
but like I'm sure that what it's supposed to be one of those things where it's like it's more useful if you remember, like, rather than being told or whatever. But it would be so funny if he just wrote, like, in big letters, Cassidy. Your name's Cassidy.
Oh, yeah. FNAF lore if it was simple. So I guess the idea is that whether or not Michael is aware of the of the faded text, the faded text is aware of Mike. So whether that means that the spirits arrive after Mike's already written in the book, or the spirit is using stuff that Mike is doing, or influencing Michael to write these things. Maybe that's the idea. Like the whole 811 thing in the end is so weird, because part of the thing with the crossword, or not the crossword, the word search, is that the only letters which are used are in the unaltered parts, which is the words in the word search. So like Afton Robotics or Freddy Fazbear's Pizza or whatever those words are in the word search. And that's where those coordinates land you. But then it's like, okay, well then you can't have changed the word search, but yet Michael happens to write down one of the correct coordinates in the book. I don't know. It's very strange. Lainey the Witch, thank you so much. Good night. Thank you for all your gifted memberships. It was great having you.
Thank you. Thank you for paying him.
Yes. Yeah, thank you so much. Cassidy whispering in Mike's ear, "Hey dude, write 811. That would be so sick, bro." Yeah, again, like what you were saying is it's like contradictory puzzle design, where the puzzle itself is fun, but the actual steps are a bit broken. And then in terms of the story, I don't know if they are thinking about it that hard. Like, are they going, oh well, the faded person wrote this, so then that has to be this? Or are they going like, oh, it's a number, so the number shouldn't be there, you just use that, you know? Are they realizing that the numbers being altered on the page is is important, or are they like, that's how we communicate that they need to use those numbers, right? I guess, well, because they didn't have to do that. They could have just put the my names on pages with those numbers, right? They didn't have to have the page numbers change. They could have just put it, like, instead of putting it on page 29 that becomes page 52, they could have just put it on page 52 and added another number there. So the puzzle design is about the numbers being altered. So it's very strange. Chat, does anyone have any sort of crazy workarounds we haven't talked about already for the whole my name thing? Because I think we have a few that we've talked about that work or make sense, but they're not as clean as just saying the person saying my name is the person whose name it is, right? Like, we can come up with the explanations for it, but that is the kind of like straight down the middle explanation of it without having to get into interpretations of, you know, okay, well, who's my, like, is it a prompt? Is it a this? It's just like my name with a big arrow, and then it leads us to a name. We would think the person who left that note would be the person whose name, you know, whose name it belongs to. Let's see. Something I wanted to thread. It's possible that, oh, this is a ruin thing. Let me see. No, I think the straightforward answer is accurate. That's not what I asked. Fair enough, but I'm just looking for alternate ideas. Yeah, wait, and doesn't Faded Text use Mike Strong of a gravestone to say my name? Yes, they do. Do you know what page that's on? I can't remember. People kept leaving all the... Oh, here, I found it. Page 39, or it's 33, 32, but it says 39. Let me see. R.I.P. my name. So, again, this is another one of using Mike's drawings. The prompt is one way to find hope in a seemingly hopeless situation is to fast forward and try peeking into the future. Let's give it a try. What will your life look like in 5 years? And Mike draws a grave, which is so either... Yeah, I mean, it's either super grim and a very sad look at Michael's character, or, I mean, you could even take it as a lore hint, as foreshadowing that, like, 5 years on from FNAF 3, Mike is probably dead. But yeah, it could be the more sarcastic, like, lol, I'll probably be dead because I'll killed by Springtrap or whatever. But yeah, my name being written on the gravestone is that puzzle design of like, oh, well, that's where a name goes, so we'll put it on the grave. Or is that Scott being like, I put a load of graves? I think it's probably that one. I don't think it's a coincidence. But when you tie it into some of the weirder elements, it gets a little ropey. The only backwards name in the crossword is Freddy. Maybe the kid's name was Fred. What? Oh, I assume you mean the mirror thing. That'd be so funny if one of the spirits was named Freddy. That would be the most confusing. Like, well, forget the whole Jeremy thing.
What's interesting is Fritz is a German name that is a diminutive of Frederick, which is where Freddy comes from.
Oh my
and
God.
William shoves that kid into Foxy because he's an idiot.
He's an idiot. That's really funny. Oh. It's me, it's party. Who are you? What is your name? What do you see? Yeah, this is a weird one.
Spoon Cats, who said the crying child's full name was Frederick Bear Afton. You know, I was talking to our older sister, North, about Ticket to Fun coming out, and I was like, I hope it drops and, like, we get, like, Afton family tree, and the crying child's name is Kelsey, and then, like, they just move on while the rest of us, like, scream or whatever. And she was like, I'm trying to come up with, like, the funniest option for the crying child's name, and honestly, it would be Michael. And she was thinking, like, in terms of, like, just another Michael, but I'm like, can you imagine Like, William's
Mike
like, I
is
just
Mike.
hate Michael so much. We're just gonna start it over. We're just starting over with it.
Frederick, just two Mikes, Mike and Michael, and Elizabeth, and then
And Elizabeth.
Frederick Bear, it's classic. Kelsey would be insane. I mean, Kelsey's another weird one. I actually was thinking about this because I watched you guys and T-Dreads. You were looking at the new kid on stream. Was it yesterday or the day before? And
I think it was yesterday.
I was watching back the VOD, and I was thinking about it, and I was thinking about the whole bite victim thing, and bite victim being the vengeful spirit, and in Frights, Andrew is the vengeful spirit, and I even have a whole thing of tying in the whole influencer memory victim idea into Andrew's behavior in Frights, that he is accidentally also influencing reality through the field, and that's like part of Scott pointing at it and being like, hey, look at this. Now this would actually tie into the Golden Duo thing more, because then you could say, oh, well, Cassidy is the nice one helping out Andrew figure out who he is, and then you don't even have to do the whole, like, they're a parallel but a flip of each other. But the idea of Kelsey having dark black hair in the suit would be the vengeful spirit, which would be bite victim in the suit, projecting out as somebody else. So you would have that. You wouldn't have to have a thing of like, I didn't know Andrew was Golden Freddy, Cassidy's Golden Freddy, or bite victim's Golden Freddy, or whatever. It would just be, no, in Frights, Andrew was Golden Freddy. He was like the equivalent of bite victim. And so bite victim's name's Andrew. Deal with it, nerds. That's solved.
Yeah, like, I hope, like, it would be so funny if Scott Cawthon just, like, announced the crying child's name and it's just something random that means nothing.
Just absolutely unrelated to everything else.
He's like, his name is actually Jedediah.
Jedediah.
Actually, the funniest option is Jeremy.
Jeremy, yeah, Jeremy, yes. Just another one. Just throw him in. It's fine. Then we'd have Bonnie Golden Split or something it would be called. People would think he's the same Jeremy. Gosh, well, you know what? I feel like there was probably more on my mind that I could have thought about, but right now I feel like I've talked about this for my entire life. I don't even know.
Oh, you should see me and Corey like trying to talk to each other about it. We'll just start the conversation and then blink and it'll be like 3 a.m.
I can't imagine, like, but how do you keep going? Like, what, at some point don't you just hit a wall and be like, yeah, what we said last time? Like, what do you get new info on the Cassidy stuff? Timmy victim. Oh yeah, have you seen that video about finding the name Timmy in the logbook?
I haven't seen it yet. I have heard of it.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, because we do know that there was a kid named, from Ticket to Fun, we know there was a kid named Timmy who barely escaped being an MCI kid.
Yeah.
Shout out to him. That kid said street smarts and ran. I cannot wait for that to come out. Every now and again, I call my local bookstore just to see if they have it early because they keep accidentally releasing things early.
Oh yeah, that's how the last ones got leaked, right?
If I get it early, I promise I will not leak it or any information, except in private friend group chats when they ask.
Yes, yeah.
I will not post any spoilers unless you ask.
Okay.
Because
good.
I am bad at keeping secrets.
Yeah,
it's like
You go ahead.
It's soon that they're dropping it, but I can't. That's gonna be fun.
September 23rd
there it is.
Crazy.
Especially since like it was supposed to release like 2 years ago, they never like updated us on it, and then they were like 10 days.
Yeah, because I thought it was completely like either scrapped or just in development hell, and then they're like, nah, a few weeks, which is great. I'm not complaining. Yeah, this is, by the way, I'm just gonna let people know, spoiler, I suppose, this is just one page. It's a preview that was released, so I feel okay talking about it. But yeah, this is from Timmy Douglas, age 8. The games at Freddy Fazbear's Pizza are the best. My mom doesn't let me play video games at home, so I love playing them at Freddy's. My favorites are the Chica one and Midnight Motorist. Crazy drop. Bonnie even helped me win one time. He wanted me to go into a dark closet for a special prize, but I had to go open presents. I love Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. Alright, Charlie87 debunked. How would he be playing Midnight Motorist if she dies after the MCI and he was nearly killed in the MCI?
I mean, Midnight Motorist as a game probably existed before it got possessed.
Nuh-uh. It's my only defense.
And then the other page also seemingly confirms at least part of arcade theory. Like,
yeah, it's crazy.
The other page is don't pay attention to messages that the arcade is sending you.
Yeah, if any of the game cabinets turn on during the course of the night, please immediately shut them down to conserve power. If the game does not power down, even if unplugged, which is a reference to the security breach emails, right? I think it was Princess Quest didn't turn off even if they plugged it out. Immediately return to your post. Ignore any messages that may appear on the screens. This is a known glitch with no current fix. Employees found playing arcade games while on the clock will be immediately terminated, either by one of us or the animatronics they didn't hear coming. Crazy thing to put in an actual book. Like, supposedly
I love that
universe.
line. That's a great line.
It's great. It's just like, yo, Fazbear really wore it on their sleeve. They're like, nope, people die. Phone guy was just, for some reason, really nervous about talking about it. He could have just said it out on the face of it. It would have been fine. Bonnie's rocking his non-copyrighted guitar. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to this because I hope it's more stuff like this. You know, I hope we get at least one calendar related item, you know. Something with
if I may say, the number one thing I would like from this, and I'm not going to say it's likely, but I would love to get last names for the missing kids, even if we like skip Cassidy and like have that blotted out. It'd be nice to get like last names for them, or like, I don't know, maybe like a missing poster for one of them or more. Like, that would be nice. It'd be nice to know anything about them.
Yeah.
Like, if a collection of missing posters, but like Cassidy's is like ripped in half, so you can only see like half of it, and just to annoy us.
That would be cool. Oh yeah, if they did have like the 5 kids and one of them was Cassidy, that would just throw out Charlie 5th, so that'd be part of what we were talking about earlier.
Or even if it's like the main 4, and then it's like the 5th one is like almost completely like ruined. You just see like a couple letters. Dude, it'd be so sick if like it'd be sick if like it was like the missing poster for the 5th child, but it's like all blotted out except for letters that spell out "It's me." That would be so sick.
That's awesome. That's really good. I'll just steal that for the reboot whenever I have to do something like that.
Yeah, go right ahead.
I'll just do that. I'd be shocked if there was any DCI in there, Fazbear. Yeah, I don't expect it.
I wish.
But
I hope,
if they do, I would be delighted. I mean, I don't have much to say. I just mean, like, I just want an answer. I just want a straightforward, like, even just acknowledgement of that entire game's, like, main plot. Because it's so brushed over in terms of the lore. It's crazy. Especially for such an important year. You know, meta-wise, it's so unimportant in terms of everything else that happens.
Yeah. Like, and then, like, because again, like, the biggest evidence for DCI didn't happen because it doesn't come up again. Like, I did, like, concede to that, and then, like, schedule theory happened, and it's like, well, it just looks like there's, like, 18 dead kids running around.
Well, I think you can have schedule theory without the extra kidnappings. Maybe bar one, but that's Andrew, so it's fine.
Andrew got killed by Circus Baby, and that's why Eleanor looks like that. Actually, that I can see that happening.
He got in the Springlock Monty. That's what it was. That was the Springlock.
Circus Baby killed Andrew. He was pissed about it. Became the vengeful spirit, and his agony became Eleanor. Is like I can see like that being a thing. I also have a script. Yeah, I also have a script for an Eleanor video down because we think we know what she is, but like basically the number one thing that I think trips people up is the ball pit blood because they never told us whose blood that was, and like if it's Eleanor's, and if it's Eleanor's, why does she have blood? And if she's an agony being, why does she leave behind a body when Jake assimilates her? I think the answer me and Corey got, I think we have a solid explanation, but even then, I think it mostly comes down to I don't think Eleanor was ever supposed to be the big bad. I think that Epilogue 7 was supposed to be the last one.
Yes.
And they realized way too late that they needed to extend it. It just, as a creative writer, from a writing standpoint,
it's insane.
All of the plot threads get tied up in the 7th one, except Jake like stays behind for no reason, and he's like, oh, but then there was another endoskeleton that seems like kind of tacked on. Kind of a little tacked on. And then
Andrew just gets
everything after that is just kind of pitter-pattering around until we get to Eleanor and explaining Remnant. Like, it really reads to me like that was not supposed to be the intention. Like, she was just supposed to be in To Be Beautiful, and they were like, well, we need a new bad guy.
I 100% agree. Having all of those stories be so tied to Andrew and his agony and his influence, and then randomly in 7 he just gets yeeted into the happiest day like baseball game. No, just like, oh, and he's gone. No ceremony whatsoever. He's barely talked about again until one line in the very, very last Detroit Stinger, I'm pretty sure, or the second to last, where Jake observes, he goes, wow, Eleanor is a lot like Andrew, but they're definitely not the same person though. Just, it's like, it's literally a line that he just says they have the same vibe and energy, and it's basically like she was Andrew the whole time, but Andrew definitely wasn't Eleanor. I don't know if it was that, they just left it to last minute and then they wanted to expand it, which I think it's probably that. But they might have also, Scott might have also gone, maybe I don't want to make this kid so like responsible for everything, you know, maybe I don't want to make him the bad guy, so I'll make it this evil thing that's like the devil, so I can just make it be as evil as I want to.
God, if it turns out Eleanor was like actually just the devil from the Bible, like I would laugh so hard. That would be so funny.
I was literally watching your Sonic video there, like
thank you.
Like 3 minutes before I went live. So when you said the devil from the Bible, it's so funny. Actually, I gotta get back and finish that video. So I think we've talked this theory to, not to death, but to reanimation or something. I don't know. Bad pun aside, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me. I know me and Corey prattle on a lot.
No. I mean, in this format, that is perfect. That's all we need. And I am certainly, I would be throwing stones in a glass house if I had any complaints about prattling on. So, thank you very much for coming along. You guys are amazing for all tuning in. Thank you so much. If we get some, what do you know what? You tell me what we should put in the chat, Connie. You get something going in the chat.
I don't know. Oh, someone just super chatted.
Oh, Rozak, thank you very much. Oh boy, just got here. Time to go rewatch all the stream. Well, thank you very much. I hope you enjoy. Let's get some Cassidy Aftons in the chat, maybe.
Yeah.
Do you have something?
I was gonna say Andrew Pizza.
Perfect. Andrew Pizza, Casadandrew Pizza Afton. Perfect. All right.
Yeah.
That should do it. Thank you guys so much. It's been a fun one. We could definitely have gone into like Cassidy Puppet and all that kind of stuff, but that would be a whole stream on its own. But I think I touched on it briefly earlier. So thank you all very much, guys, and have a good night. Thank you so much. Thank you again, Connie, for joining me.
Thank you. Bye.
All right. Oh, everyone, one last hydration check. We gotta get a hydration check going. Just one last one. Perfect. All right. Thanks so much, guys.